Namaste. So we're going to do the Liffruma Healing Oracle deck box opening. Extremely nervous, so we are being slow and taking our time to start. So the box opening will happen, but to start with, we're going to do what we do for ourselves, to center ourselves, connect ourselves into the deeper inner aspects. Bye. And there's a few of us, so we'll get different ones coming out. We're learning more and more to be seen and heard, and we're accepting ourselves. And we're taking leaps of faith and jumping. Christmas Day, Boxing Day, and tomorrow was for our Littlelons to do whatever they wanted. And not all of the presents have been opened from us to us. Because a lot of it was computer tech, and it gets quite stressful and overwhelming. But we've put makeup on for the first time in years. Actually, no, I think one of us put on our sparkly makeup a month or two after the psych ward, but that was almost 3 years ago, so it is years. When we were putting it on in the makeup, one of us was like thinking like we looked like one of those old ladies that puts on blue makeup and red lips and look a bit like a clown, but we're just going for it. The Littlelons, this is us playing and learning and growing together. There's quite a bit of a setup here as well, so we're going to talk through some of this, not all of it. We've got cameras from a few different directions, so we're going to edit this afterwards, and when we edit it, we'll put more details and descriptions in. At least that's what we think. We never really know what's going to happen until it happens, but we've got some our video editing software that was free on the laptop seems to have changed, and we've got some other one which we need to learn right from scratch again. Because we were using it and growing with understanding it and using it with our daily poetry videos, which we did for 22 months. 22 comes up a lot, which is the number of major arcana cards in the tarot. We were going to say but we're attempting not to say so So what were we saying? Yes, but we had to make them all private, because for us it's about learning how to de-stress in our life. And although our little ones didn't want to take them down because it shows what we were doing to learn technology, heal, document, teach ourselves to read, structure of words, so much stuff. I'm just going to close that, it's a bit distracting. But we had a copyright strike on the Mastery of Self and the 5 levels of attachment from Hierophant Publishing, which we need to send a message and email. But we generally aren't able to do something unless the sensory system, the altar, is out that can do that. So the books are there waiting, but the stress of getting another copyright strike and having all our channels taken down became more, whatever the word is, than our Littlelons wanting to keep their creations up, because we have left our we have left a few up, but they might end up coming down as well. So at the moment on all our 3 channels it should be just mostly our stuff documenting from the psych ward. I think there was a video of the poem that was in 2017, which was the very start of us being seen and heard and expressing through a poem that was created in these altered states of consciousness, in and out of what we would now word as deep connection with source energy, with spirit. We had quite a momentous thing today as well, because we've started walking backwards up to this willow tree. Not very far, and it's our challenge to walk to it backwards every day for a year, and do a time lapse of the photo. And we started on the 21st, so today was our 6th day. And just out the back of our house there's an ash tree, and the ash and the willow were our mum's favourite tree. So it really isn't, it would only take a couple of minutes to walk if one is healthy and walking forwards. We've got a joke actually. But we've probably ruined it, so we're not going to say it. So yeah, we walk backwards to that, take a picture of the tree, and then come back down. And today there was a rainbow. We were noticing heaps. The first day we went to turn or do something, and there was a frog, and we saw a couple of frogs that day. And it's, you know, we're in a little bungalow area. We take a picture of the ash at the start, go to the willow, come back, and then the ash. Where we take the photo, there's bungalow number 16, which is the number of rebirth. It's the number of the tower card. New beginning, made of new beginnings and unconditional love, the magician and the lovers, Mercury and Gemini, Mercury ruling Gemini. So we use our channels are about transformation, acceptance of self, sharing our fun tools for our shadow dance of life, but not just the shadow dance of life, just our fun tools of getting to know ourselves and understand ourselves, when we have been on this explorative journey, excavation of the soul for 24 years, since we were 18. And so the more one does self-understanding from what we've witnessed, the more they get to know themselves, but the more we started disappearing and knowing ourselves less and less. And then when we had seizures 6 years ago, it transpired that we had all these alternate personalities, which made sense to why we had blackouts and memory loss, which isn't memory loss, it was just a different alternate personality was out. So there was a different information system network using to store the memory. And so when we had the seizures, there's a lot to go into. It's like Kundalini energy rising. We've done a lot of yoga, but it couldn't rise because our central Sushumna channel down the vertebra was congested. So the energy went around the figure of 8, but we have a displaced collarbone. And so you'll get a lot of jarring movement. So the figure of 8 energy couldn't go round. The Sushumna is what filters out the energy as well. So all the energy coming in from the external of the collective consciousness, or, you know, it comes in and it goes through the Sushumna and then gets filtered out. And what these most amazing bioorganic computers of a body temple that houses our individual expressions of consciousness absorbs depends on our own frequencies and networks. But because it couldn't filter out, we'd absorb it all. It'd go around the figure of 8, but the figure of 8 wasn't there. So with our differing physical and mental abilities, our Ehlers-Danlos syndrome means that our body is like the riverbanks are made of sandstone, so it kind of exploded. So it's been quite a journey. And on that journey, the tarot, oracle cards, and this kind of setup, which you'll get to see more when we edit it from the other 2 angles of the candles, has been what's been transpiring. And it's although some of us have been inside witnessing and not been able to use the body or the voice, the conscious eyes, it's still confusing to understand. This is what we're going to attempt to do with our channels, to describe the story and our journeys with spirit and these altered states, where we could have blamed, not taken self-accountability and self-responsibility, and blamed external entities. But from we're autistic as well. From our science background and everything else that goes on, everything that's a projection, everything comes from the inside. It's our processing systems inside that discerns and deciphers how we create the image and then project it out there, whether we're aware or conscious of it or not. And so yeah, it led us to tarot readers, and the lovely, I suppose, call it Liffruma Healing Oracle Clan tribe, low vibe tribe, Rob Oderson's channel calls it. So it's rustling around Reem from the Rare Gazelle, Cathy from Twitty versing, Patrick from Real Karuk, I think, and Eve from the Everlong Mystics. Well, I suppose we should put the handles down below. We talk a lot when we get anxious and we go in and out of things. We've still got the tight chest. So we have kind of opened it, but we've not fully opened it. It was opened and put back in, I suppose, because a few of us had this intention to put into play as a gratitude and to show, because we're about to embark on a 108-day social media detox and just a break from things, minimizing Wi-Fi, minimizing technology, attempting to be consistent on our own self-care and our house care, and our intake of food, and hope that this becoming more still and turning inwards without fear, because we are also on, we started a 44-day meditation a long time ago on called Soul Shine, and then we did one which is about 6.5 weeks, and then we did one for Sacred Connections. We did them both a few times, and I think this again was the year after the psych ward, and we started that again. But we started the Sacred Connections and went backwards, and yesterday was the end where we ended at day 1. And so now we're going to go forwards for 6 weeks on the Sacred Connections, which today was the starting day. But on the starting day, we do it the night before. So we actually end up the starting day, we do it morning and night, and we do it the night before. So there's 3 times that we do it if we're all on it. If we're not all on it and we're not all out, we'll at least get to do it once after the 3 times. So we've learned all these different coping mechanisms and strategies. Because we would go weeks without washing or cleaning, whether it's due to physical pain or mental confusion, and the little ones just not knowing how to take care of ourselves. There's other stories there. Mum committed suicide when we were 4, we were sexually abused. Some might call it mildly. The year afterwards, and when we were 15, by our father. So we've never really had that healthy, feminine, nurturing energy, or the fatherly energy. Our father did his best, and we would like to reach a place of indifference where there isn't that strong emotional attachment, because before the seizures we could, but since the seizures happened and it turned us inside out, which is also a combination to do with our younger yoga journey, the CPTSD and the emotion, because dissociative identity disorder, the new terminology for multiple personalities, is complex post-traumatic stress disorder, and it's where one is living out the past in the present moment and experiencing all those traumas. And so we've come a long way through the confusion of going, well, we know that our present moment actions are what creates our future. How are we going to create our future when our present moment actions are being defined by our past? And so we've been going through being able to do present moment actions that are not the habitual patterns to create a healthy future, while it's intermingled with trauma episodes and regressing back to the past. When we first did these meditations, the second one that we're starting is Soul Shine. So we did the first day of that today. So we started that last night. So we're on day 1 of Sacred Connections and day 44 of Soul Shine. And then when we finish this 6 weeks, which should take us up to around mid-February, there's a lot of throat activations going on for us at the moment as well. It was with Elizabeth Harper, these meditations, and there was a lot of throat stuff going on for her. And so when that finishes on the 44 days, around mid-February, we'll then do the soul shine on its own forwards, which will then take us up to start of April-ish or something, mid-April, which is momentous because April is the month that our mum's birthday, that she committed suicide, that our attempted suicide was on. And there's the rarest eclipse. It's a hybrid eclipse. They don't happen often at all, and that's on the 20th of April. So we've been drinking moon water and living by the cycles of the moon for the last, I suppose, over half a decade, 6 years. We were drinking the full moon charged water, which is purified with shungite. We've got some shungite crystal pyramids here and some circular ones. They're really good for purifying water, but also cleansing the electromagnetic field from the radiation, just cleansing the electromagnetic field. And we have our chakra crystals in there as well. But not so long ago, we changed from the full moon and new moon, because that would be the peak and the trough if you've got a sine wave, and the extremities, because we want to reach balance. So if you've got a sine wave and you've got the axes at 0 in the middle, we want to reach 0 in the middle. We want to reach a stable, strong, flexible, adaptable, balanced state of our emotions, so that we are not in denial of it like we were before, because DID is the biggest of denials going, but where there's awareness, connection to the emotions. And we do have strong emotional reactions. We cry to whatever emotions, but we would like to be able to be more appropriate in certain situations. And initially that would be for others, but it's also for us, because we're an empath and we can feel others, especially the internal energies of the other that the other's in denial about, and that could be really uncomfortable. So the more we get to know ourselves, understand ourselves, and be able to manage ourselves, the more that we can do that, because we all know that the other person won't be comfortable with it. We can manage ourselves, because then we won't be managing our own, I'll say anxiety, but for us, anxiety is just an influx of energy that doesn't have the direction or the movement to go to, because there's some kind of congestion in the physical body or the energetic body, because the alignment's not there. So we delve very much into the fundamentals of energy. So you'd have maybe the physical, seen, tangible, then you'd go out into more like the emotional, chemical, and depending which sensory systems one is best suited to, they might see internally or see externally, spirits and entities, etc. But for us, we go beyond all that into the macro, or right into the micro, and it's literally just energy, it's fractals, it's geometry. So we don't have that connection to that as much. So a frequency, could it get expressed as many different things? One frequency might be in the dragon world to one person, or an angel to another, or a spirit animal, power animal to someone else. So frequency can really get expressed into so many diverse different things, and it has the whole spectrum of, as Reem calls it, light and dark, negative and positive on the protons. It's the full spectrum, and the black absorbs all. It's the vortex. It has all the rainbow colors in it. White reflects, and so when we reach our center and our vacuum equilibrium, our center powerhouse, for us that's like a black hole, it's like a vortex. In yoga it's about creating space, and when you can get to a certain area in your abdomen, you create lots of space, but that space feeling can feel empty, and we can want to fill it with food or some kind of intoxicating substance to make us feel better, which kind of suppresses us on one level, but then makes us feel on another level. So we've been journeying through lots of these different paths and avenues, and we are processing language disorder and dyslexia. Words are what we're always strengthening. It's one of our weaknesses. It's knowing our own limitations and our weaknesses and our strengths, and we are much better in person and energy and feeling. But we're on the journey now with our teaching background of being able to put that into words and express it. And so our 3 different channels there's Joy to Coco, which is Journey of Involution to Co-Consciousness. And one of our biggest values is, because we're the minority, in a lot of ways, is that we envision and dream of a world that is inclusive of everyone, that has governmental systems and systems wherever you go, and a sense of understanding of communication, words being just a fraction and one of the least of that, through the heart, whereas there's this inclusiveness feeling of everyone, involving everyone. And if someone's deeply autistic and they're locked inside, which is another story, but in the psych ward with the medication they gave us, we were terrified we'd get locked inside completely. And so there's a way of communicating to people, even if it seems to the conventional current understanding that we can't communicate. But to do that, we have to get to know ourselves really well. And so we're involving people. So involution is like evolution, but evolution's external of us and involution is internal. So that's the journey of involution, the journey of going into our deepest aspects of selves. And whether you're on the extreme end like us, where the body has fragmented and fractured in its connective tissue and in the mind to create these alternate personalities that expresses in the way that we have done, that one sees in the chaos and the different personalities and voices in our channel so far, because it's a real-time documentary type. There's not really been, it's just been whatever has gone on in the moment. Or whether it's just someone that's starting to understand, because the average person is generally pretty whole in their makeup, but when they start going into the spiritual aspect, they start discovering that they're not oneself, and there's all these different archetypal aspects to themselves, and depending what situation they're in depends on how one would react or respond. And we feel anyone that says, well, that's not me, I wouldn't do that, that's not how I normally am, could maybe do with a bit more self-awareness, because that's coming from the conscious mind. If we're saying something like that, it implies that we know every aspect of ourselves, and we don't know every aspect of ourselves unless we've been in every possible environment and situation going, which most people haven't, because to be human for us is to experience. So the joy to coca, and that's Sanskrit, this is yoga philosophy. You've got Yoga Pantajali and the sutras, and an autobiography of a yogi, Yoga Sananda. We can't remember a lot of this stuff. And so we talk, for us to go on this journey, we talk a lot about food and the live bacteria, cleanliness of water. So that's what that channel is going to be mostly about. Then the Shinto self-empowerment, which is more like past us. We've got a picture of us here when we did our van. Not a very good one to keep us kind of confident. That was one of our first kind of creations, to build that van and live in it. And it's we had people say, well, I've never felt a van with energy before, but we never really knew what energy was or what to do with it. And there's another story there as well one day. And so Shinto self-empowerment, I suppose, is like the past us, our birth given name. So is like a host body. So it's the host body, and then it's all the alternate personalities. And when we were 2, we were taken to America with our mum and named Snowflake from the Native American Indians. So Snowflake is the name that we've kept from our past, and the 2 vibrations really influential to us. And our new chosen name that came about from one of us from this book, The Science of the Star, what's it called? No, it's not that one. Light of Egypt, The Science of the Soul and the Stars. And Zanoni means child of the stars, or son of the stars. And so ZanoniSnowflake's like son of the stars, child of the stars. And then you've got your snow, which is snowflakes, which starts as water and evaporates. So it's the earthly tribal dimensions, realms, energies, and it's the cosmic energies. And to connect those earthly, denser, lower vibration energies and the higher, faster vibration energies through the antennae, the temple, the connector of the human vessel. And so liquids are really important because energy is more conductive in water. And so Shinto self-empowerment is, I don't know if we're going to do oracle cards on there. and tarot cards on there, or we don't really know how it's all kind of quite come about, but that's more kind of the past us, which is us. We are all past information or memory stored in our connective tissue. If you open your arms up lengthwise, you release depression from opening up your armpits. If you open your groins, you're releasing emotions. So we can tap into all of the stuff that current day talking therapies taps into, but talking therapies is dancing from the mind. And as Dalai Lama the 14th said, the Western world needs to develop the heart more, and the mind less. And so for us, our mind, especially with our head injury and the scar tissue of the EDS, our mind, it was too overwhelming and too much. So we needed to go into the heart and the body. Hence we started yoga, but that had to break us. So yeah, the past us is kind of that channel. And then ShintoSEYE is the Shinto yoga experience, because for us, yoga is about full self awareness. Yoga means yoking or union. So it's the yoking and the union between the heart, the body, the mind, from conventional understanding of the mind being here. But for us, there's a mind, there's consciousness in every bacteria, every cell, going into, so you're yoking and your union and yoking the mind, the body, the heart together, bonding, binding. And that's what the runes say, utilizing the breath. And the breath is spirit, it's oxygen, it's all around us, and we bring in that oxygen, that spirit, into the body. And when we can align our musculoskeletal system and the structural aspects of our body with our breath from the inside out, so we're tapping into the subtle energetic realms to align inside, and then that aligns from the outside, which is the opposite from doing the superficial muscles, the surface muscles, the outside, to then go inside, because we did it that way and it didn't quite, it did what it needed to do at the time. So there's a little introduction, which we'll probably edit all of this out, so it's just the box opening when we get there. I suppose that was just a little bit of background information, because we don't know what's going to happen. We're just in complete source energy flow state. So we're going to be a bit quiet now. We're going to sage. This is our homegrown sage, homegrown lavender, and this is the eucalyptus leaf from a tree. So we're going to burn that and smudge, and then we've got some sound stuff that we're going to use, and then we'll get into and then we'll do vocal toning. So the oxygen and breathing in, when we do utilize our breath properly and can expand and use all 3/3 of our lungs, we're creating space in the body. So in our body, we have the upwards channels, which is generally fire. We have the downwards channels, which is water, earth, which is that grounded, still, solid energy. This is from our polarity therapy learnings. And then the spiral energy, and so up and down, they're linear, they're the masculine energies, and the spiral energies are the curves, that's the feminine energies, and that comes from air, from the lungs. So the more space we create in the body, the more freedom of movement there is. And we do a lot of mouth yoga, so you can, how your teeth are lined, we are accessing and aligning our internal body through our mouth. But we're going to be quiet now, and we're going to burn the homegrown sage smudge stick to clear the energies, and understanding that for us it's Hippocrates, food as thy medicine, the whole process of growing the food, meditating, putting crystals in the ground, do gardening by the moon, because we don't have heaps of energy, so when we garden by the moon we get maximum output, most ease. And then eating that food, fermenting it to create the diversity of bacteria in the stomach, because our emotions are a chemical reaction. A chemical reaction happens from the fuel intake in our food. And when that chemical reaction happens in our intestines, and there's a whole pile of there with the Celtic knot and the energetics that because we feel in the body, we feel all this in the body, and we can get frustrated that we can't quite vocalize the amount of stuff that we feel in the body. And there used to be, there isn't so much now, slight envy that other people could see stuff and vocalize stuff and hear stuff, and we don't get any of that. But we have the first-hand understanding from our beautiful gifts, which society labels as disorders and weaknesses, the pressure in the body. So when people say that they've got the ringing in the ears, and the lady that did the meditation, guided meditation, she said, oh, well, you're clairaudience. And then there's the clairvoyance, which is the hearing, the claircognizance, which is the psychic knowing. Twitty, Cathy, hi, we're going to get to the box opening. Thank you. Oh, are you sure you're going to start crying? Shh. And so people go, oh, there's ringing in our ears. And for us, the ringing in the ears is a change of pressure. So if you think of a balloon, when you blow up a balloon and you pull it and squeak it, then it makes a really high pitched sound when you let the air out. So if you think of your veins and your arteries, if they're congested and there's not much space, then it's going to, the pressure's more. Or a river flowing, it's really wide, and then it suddenly goes into a narrowness. And so we get to experience all that aspects of spirit from the biomechanical of the body. So growing the food, eating it, when we have a chemical reaction in the stomach, either from food or it could be from a release in the body, then there's an emotion created. So what does Jenny Florence from Moon Magic says? She says that emotion is energy in motion. And so when we have an emotion, it's an emotion, but a prolonged emotion can become a character trait, and a prolonged character trait can become a personality. So we're all humans, we all function in a certain way. We just have beautiful individual different ways of expressing that. But growing our own food means that that constructive loop of information in and out of the senses, out and in of the senses, means that we're minimizing the amount of energy coming in and variables so that we can understand who we are more, because we're quite complex. Tito por paitena! Yeah, we decided to just treat ourselves to lots of food this Christmas so the little ones could have whatever they want. And it's great because it's also evidence that we are learning moderation, 14, and self-discipline, 41, the mirror, more, because there's stuff around and we're not eating it, because we're connecting more to our bodies. Our cravings are changing because all the effort we're putting into changing our gut biome and our bacteria is working. But this is a really nice pottery dish from Tesco Finest, which had love our cheese, brie, which we bake in the oven. So it had that in it. And we got, what is it, the cheese selection Finest, and that came in a really nice wooden box, which we've put all of our homegrown, homemade smudge bundles. So we've got sage, this is now lavender. I think we've got hyssop, I don't know what that does. Honestly, I don't know what a lot of this stuff does, but Littlelons, they've showed us so much. We've got a lot of theory and writing and all kinds of things to do now. And I think that's what's going to happen and take place more over this next season of 108 days, while because we get overwhelmed and stressed easy, but we've always put ourselves in fearful situations and extreme situations, cycling John and Groats, the Land's End, with a healing broken collarbone, doing jungle treks, but we were breaking our boundaries and pushing ourselves beyond our limits. Whereas now it's about expounding our boundaries gently and slowly, while we understand and connected to our body. Oh, it smells amazing. And we're so proud we made it. Yeah. We were meant to be making bath bombs today and we haven't really cooked for Christmas dinner yet. But this is what transpired instead. Oh, yay, Cathy. Excellent repurposing. Relearn so good. All of you guys is where we've been learning our words from, whether it's being triggered and going, oh, we disagree again, we don't fit in anywhere, or whether it's like, yeah, we agree with that. But we had to pull away, and we want to be responsive and not reactive, and we can go verbal diarrhea with our typing sometimes. And if we get triggered and we do a comment with slightly triggered energy and express it from our point of view, we've learned that that can trigger the YouTuber, and then they can give a comment back completely misunderstanding what we're saying, because most people tend to view a situation from their own lens of perception, their own filters of perception, and they'll understand us wrong because we're generally backwards. So we're kind of pulling away from all that kind of stuff and just attempting to focus on flowing with whatever flows, whether that's making creams, making bath bombs, doing food, doing this, anything that involves fun, enjoyment, play, stuff that brings us in that direction of to be the best version of us, but still accepting that we're human. And 78 is the number of spirituality, 78 the tarot card, and 22, so 22% naughtiness, cheekiness, and the other one's 78%. Like, we're allowed all the sweets and stuff that we got if we cleaned our teeth every morning and every night, and they've basically been really good, although sometimes in the morning it's just oil pulling. So yeah, it's quite funny. Did you have a good Christmas, Cathy? Oh, thank you. We put makeup on and everything, Cathy. I'm gonna have to take this off. We're getting a bit hot. Such a dry mouth with the adrenaline. We bought new clothes as well at size 18, so that was a sign to us. Also, all on credit card, oopsie daisy. But that's okay, because some of us said that we're going to do really well. But that's a sign to us that we're starting to take care of ourselves with the makeup, with the washing, with the teeth, and buying new clothes, accepting that this is the size we are, and that's okay. Oh, terrific Christmas. Yay! Okay, so we're just going to do let's do a bit of rattles. When we use a rattle, see, we've got this mic here, which you can't see, but you might in a minute. But we don't know if that works when we plug it in. So at the moment, we've got the new stream cam. I think the video quality is better than what it is before, because normally when it's darkish, it's not very good. And on our camera, it wasn't very good, but it looks better on this. We've got different lights. We've got a vertical one, Cathy, looking straight down. We've got this one here. Oh, the light's not too bad. So when we learn the editing, there's going to be a box opening and we did a pre-test. So there's going to be a really cool box opening where you look straight into the box. You quit smoking, yay! And gained weight. Well, we used to get munchies and eat a lot when we smoked, and we'd be able to keep eating, whereas now we can't keep eating. And you can see, wow, oh, that's fantastic. That must be amazing. Did you box these up, Cathy? Because it's beautiful, and that's why we had to do a box opening. So yeah, rattles the energy out. Yeah, what say? So much love and thought and attention. So just whenever you see us jar or move or anything, we're kind of shifting the energy around. So feel free. For us, the one of the best ways to tap into the subtle energetic realms and to create more from less is vocal toning, vocal sounding, buzzing, humming, subtle shaking or movement. So if we do, I don't know, when different people come in and out, it can really trigger us sometimes. So I think the reason that we haven't gone into too much of this is we've been strengthening the body more, and everything that has been happening we still don't like all these words quite so much, but we're going to get better at finding our words. But divine timing, divine order, aligned timing, and where attention goes, energy goes. And if we get too much attention or too much energy, that's got to pass through our body. And until our body really gets the alignment in the structure of the bones, our Littlelons were saying then, Capricorn, we're in Capricorn sun season, and Capricorn rules the bones, the knees, the joints, the skin. Our hair's growing back. We've got hair growing to here now, and it used to be going bald right back there. This one's not so good, but that's because that's right, and that's creative brain, and we still stuck in the unseen creative stuff a bit more. Guys, you're so exhausting. Wonder how our voice is going to be doing after this. We don't just like it, we love it. It's got us to doing this box opening and facing our fears even, and coming back on and doing a live again for ages. So yeah, we're rattling stuff away. This is the finer one. This is the next one. There were finer bits in this, but I think it was sand, and so it's all come out. It's the water and the fire. That was the shamanic lady that we got our drum from. And then this is another one. Whew. We're all out and about at the moment because it's like, we want to show them this, we want to tell them what this is, blah, blah, blah. So, where's the date? It's the 26th today, which is 8. We're going to start with the connecting one of the month. That's why America's better. In America, can I talk for us, please? Because then my throat's not going to last. So Snowflake's American because we went to America when we were 2 with our mum. And English language is so illogical, even with the dates. But when you use the American format of the date, you put the month first. So we've been attempting to understand filing and computer stuff, and we've got so much to kind of do because ones of us use a picture diary, ones of us use audio diary, ones of us use video diary. These are the other ones that use all the stuff on here. And so then we need to organize that and be able to find it. So when you do the American date form and put the month first, it's a lot easier to organize it and structure than when you do the English. So yeah, it's interesting watching and witnessing the aspects of us that dance and function better with the American the English. There's lots of stuff connected to the English because of history and culture and inhibitions and not showing your emotions, and America's just different to that, isn't it? It's like the opposite. So it's kind of, yeah, we're not going to go into the words. You too. So we're going to start with the month. We're going to do 3. Feel free again to utilize your breath and sigh. If your eyes are closed, you're connected. If our eyes are closed, we're connecting into our internal subjective realities. And the deeper we go into our internal subjective reality, the more we get to our unconscious. When we connect to our unconscious and our subconscious through our body, we're bringing our awareness into our involuntary muscles. Our involuntary muscles being functioned by the autonomic nervous system. They're the automatic ones. Our voluntary muscles are the muscles that we use to actually do stuff. And so to bring our subconscious awareness to the surface, into our conscious awareness, first we need to become aware consciously, and then we can do it through our body rather than overwhelming the mind. 3 is the half of 8 abstractly and half of 6 creatively. We were just talking about inwards. Inwards is the micro, the fractal. Do we do micro first or do we do macro first? Now, we could say that we do micro first because we were just talking about going inwards, but the energies and the patterns swap. So when you look at the snake going up the chakras, it starts on one side and then it goes to the other side and then it goes to the other side. So it could mean that we do the macro first because we're talking about the inwards and we don't want to go in too much. And if we go in too much, so yeah, open our eyes, stay out of it. And that same pattern of how it crosses over going up the chakras, it also does that inwards. And so the figure of 8 is very complex, and it goes from like the outside of the right hip would go to the outside of the left, would go up. So you've got your hip, so you've got up to your waist, your bottom of your rib cage. But at the same time, if you go in a layer deeper, it could be different. The patterning is very complex. We're not going there. I don't know why we started. we're in the flow state. So macro, so we're getting into the year. The year is 6. Unconditional love, the lovers, union, yoking. We've been doing this in our house. We smoke the house out with our bundles. We then open all the windows and the doors. And then we go around with this. And we do this in the front door and the back door. Because for us, it's like the feng shui of the house. The back of the house and the garden is private. So that's like our subconscious, whereas the front is public. So that's like our conscious. So you've got your chakras and your feng shui of the house. And we understand us and what's going on in us from our immediate environment. And 26 for 8. Tito Pupaina! Taito! Ooh. So there's a lot of healing going on for us. What triggered that? We're invoking the numbers. Oop. Tito po motainata. Itopo. Amber spirit doll made out of felt. Tito earrings. Oh, we got similar earrings on. Tito po momo. Knife. We like our knife. We're bush camping with our knife. And then the sleeping in the trees in our hammock and stuff with Takoda, a mini black panther. Ita pono tai se topopo. They're slates from next door, aren't they? We're going to make runes out of them years ago, but not done that. That we're crying and all makeup's going to smudge. That's why we don't use it. We got tiger eye, raw, heart, and then our ear. That's the solar plexus chakra, isn't it? Yeah. Managing a lot of emotions now because we get very, I suppose the more co-conscious, the more aware. It's just challenging being strong in our vulnerability and allowing ourselves to be seen in all our states, because we know you're here, Cathy, and we know you're safe and you know us, but doing this live means we're connecting into the whole World Wide Web through technology. So it's the global electromagnetic field and of what we've got consciousness, and we call it consciousness, organic and inorganic. Okay, so you've got consciousness and you've got like technology. Oh, I don't know. This video talk. Oh, the numbers. That's what we were doing. We were invoking in the numbers, and we talked about 3 being half of 8 creatively and half of 6 mathematically. We got to move our position until more. Lots of energy going through the body. And 26 adds up to 8, and it's the year of 6. And so 3 is the connecting one, and 3. Are you understanding what we're trying to say? We're struggling with our words. So yeah, 6 and 8 is the balance. For us, you've got the Tesla code 3, 6 and the 9. And the rainbow bridge, see Tom or rainbow from the willow tree, mummy's willow tree, rainbow coming out of it earlier. And then we came back to other mummy's tree, the ash, and we see Lady, and she called Mary, and Mary's our mum's middle name. And Mary had baby Jesus. Yeah, our father's middle name's Joseph. And we've learnt that there's been fragments, aspects of what I suppose what the shamanic traditions would call soul fragmentation, soul retrieval. But there's been aspects of us that haven't even been birthed or born into the body, came into our verbal conscious awareness, some of our verbal conscious awareness. It's probably happened heaps before, because it tends to happen heaps before until it comes out verbally. We had massive I suppose what someone would call deja vu, but it wasn't. When we had our seizures, we saw everything. So we had the moment where we saw glimpses of that, so it was quite incredible. So yeah, there's a big shift there that went on for us. Spirit doll, yeah, it's a lady. Oh, she's so creative, that makes them up in North Cornwall. And Amber, we can't remember what Amber's for again. We show you this too. Tito Popo Pino. Okay, so we accidentally grew wheat. So this is our Empress number 3. Oh, there's going to be a lot of connections going on, isn't there? You got to bloody laugh. It's better to laugh than cry. Does the makeup better, doesn't it? Aye, aye, aye. So yeah, we accidentally grew wheat and didn't know it was wheat. The only reason we knew it is because our little ones was like, oh, it's the picture in the Empress card. Because of the bird seed. The bird seed fell down from the bird feeder and it started growing. And so we also see, like, we've had issues with proteins. So EDS is a malfunction of the collagen protein. So anything that we've had issues with, we see if we can take that in small doses. I suppose that's kind of like homeopathy, is it? It's like microdosing. If you take it in a small dose and we can get the bacteria of that, then it balances out that intolerance. So if we've got a bit of an issue with rice, we're having rice vinegar with live mother bacteria, with our live biocider vinegar, and we are intolerant to wheat. So if we get that wheat and grind up and put in a little bit of that with our half oat and half kamut flour sourdough bread, which has got the sourdough live bacteria, then all of this is and we're majorly on all these live bacteria capsules at the moment while we're going through what we're going through. And then Amazon, they didn't give us an expensive thing that we bought. They gave us pectin powder from bovine cow. Yeah, they gave us collagen from a cow and collagen from a fish. And so we're like, wow, whoever's got our what was it camera? Yeah, whoever's got the cameras had a great deal on that. But then one of us was like, no, it's like when you in the stacking shelves and replenishing in the stock room, and you read across the line and then you go down one, they would have had our name and then they've gone down one and read that, and so we got given that because that was spirit working through, because we needed to have some of that for our body. And we get to our cat as well. Yeah, we give Zendaya everything too, don't we? Okay, we've got a coconut shell here. Everything's a surprise to you, isn't it? Because you can't see, but we've got a coconut shell here. Yeah, we haven't, with a surprise underneath. But we're going to have to edit that out now because that's just showing them what it is for later on. So we're focusing. Whew. Okay. And we got another surprise in here. It's the yoga seal tree, or yog seal tree. Don't let them see. We do that at the end. My little ones are so much fun. So did we do it? 8? No. Okay. Let's see if we catch up. Oh, thank you for the hugs. We inspire you to do the same. Oh God, we've talked through a lot. What's that? Get up and do more videos. It's hard work, isn't it? Growing wheat, an accidental growing. The wheat was the accidental growing, and this was the conscious, intentional growing. Yeah, surprises are good, aren't they? In wrapping the presents before, this isn't going to work because we've never done that for ourselves before. For different ones of us, it's like we're going to remember which is which, and they didn't at all. So yeah, it was a real surprise. So I suppose living with this for so long, we know ourselves really well on one level, and so we've learned loads of coping strategies and mechanisms, and so now on actually really getting to know ourselves, now that we know we've got the DID and accepting this, it's kind of still confusing because we have to remember there's the witnessing, observing aspects of us inside. So the only way I can describe this is when we suddenly came round in the psych ward, unable to use our voice, unable to use our body, and there's 8 people physically restraining us, and like we hadn't been eaten for months, we'd lost heaps of weight, we couldn't swallow, it's the physical stuff, and it was just like, whoa, what's going on? How are we going to get out of this? And so that's the in macro, the extreme, but that's still going on now, but we don't tend to realize until there's something that catalyzes it. But since we've been so much more nurturing and impeccable with our word and changed our language, and sat on the fence and just witnessed and observed with least judgment possible. But I mean, even when we judge, sometimes we're not actually judging. It seems like we're judging, but we're not. It's just that's how we've grown up with that language and that way of thinking. But like if we were to, it's the little ones, they're like, they got a big nose, and it's like, well, you know, don't say that, that's rude. And it's like, well, no, actually our little ones are saying our attention's going there, our energy's going there because they've got a big nose and they've got big nostrils, and we actually need a bigger nose and we need bigger nostrils because we need to get more in air, because we need to create more space. So the more air and oxygen we can get to every cell and create more space, the more we're going to grow up our stunted generational consciousness. And we're so aligned that when stuff actually finally is able to come out in word format, and because our sensory systems are separated but got so au fait at dancing together, and we hear ourselves say something, I suppose it's what we learned off Lily. It's always these cathartic releases, these emotionals, because there's just neurons firing, whether it's in the heart or the brain, and connections being made. And I suppose what people say about the light body and waking up, our nervous system, nerves that have been completely disconnected and not attached are connecting and waking up. And I suppose this is why we look forward to developing this channel and with however it's going to go, because we have our own unique way of expressing and wording through our own unique ways of experiencing, where we've had this separation of the sensory system, where the one looking in the mirror is separate to the one talking, who's separate to the one listening, and to get all of these to function together. We know it's not, we just do what we do. We do boo boo. Okay, so 8, our birth given name vibration, which is the infinity, and it's the figure of 8 through the body, and that energy through the body goes through your sit bones and your collarbones. And 11 is the new vibration of ZanoniSnowflake per cell, because we took our mother's maiden name, and that is 11 is the vertical channel. So the 11 is all masculine, although it equals a 2, which is a balance of the feminine and masculine and snowflake, and the 8 is all feminine. Tito Popo Natadai, apart from the Diablo, which is one of the runes, which is like the figure of 8, but it's all masculine lines. Yeah, we've been noticing that one. So here we go with the 8. Oh yeah, we didn't finish, did we? So 6 is the bridge from the Tesla code 369, the unseen energetic realms, the subjective, the unseen energies. and which is your 3, 6, 9, and then your 1, 4, 5, 7, 8 is your linear masculine kind of energy, seen tangible world, and your 2 and your 8, because 2 is the balance between the masculine and feminine, and 8 is balance but all together. So your 2 and the 8 is like the Y. So it's a fork shape of like a snake's tongue that goes to the 6, and that's the bridges between the two worlds. And I really look forward to understanding this more, because there's always stuff that comes out which I know I can remember the feeling, and there's audio messages and videos when the younger ones are doing it, but then when I'm saying it, it's like, well, I don't understand. So yeah, we're hopefully going to put all of this into video format. Yeah, and in us, I know, so do I, Twitty, Cathy. And I want to understand it more. But that's the fantastic thing, because in wanting to understand it more, it is us. And so creating the videos and putting them onto YouTube has been our way of connecting these sensory systems, because it's video, it's audio, it's repetition. And our little ones did this amazing repetition with a twist thing, focus exercises, which really helped us as well. And the best thing is, we're creating the material for us, and we are the only one that knows, even if we're not able to fully word it in the way we want to yet, from the perfectionist adult teacher, academic, professional, domesticated, conditioned ones. We will be able to, but when we're editing, that's the repetition. And so on the editing, there's different ones of us that do different things, and you're watching it over and over, and every time we do that, it's like it's going backwards and forwards, because in life we're always going forwards and we're always thinking forwards. And that's like, how do we dance, how do we move forwards and backwards at the same time? This is what came to us again. That's like the Drake. And it's walk backwards to your destination, because the destination's forwards, but if you go backwards, you're walking backwards and forwards, you're going backwards and forwards at the same time. Because walking backwards, spinning, doing all this crazy stuff is what our seizures and what our Littlelons and what our body, our heart has told us. But all the stuff that we've needed to do to heal ourselves is kind of unaccepted to do in a public space. And if we were to do it in a public space, it would get a lot of criticism or attention, unhealthily so, and we'd feel that. So we've had to isolate ourselves and do hermit, and create a beautiful, creative, safe space and sanctuary. And then the garden's got us out more. Our garage is a little bit further away, and we've bought shelves and been doing stuff in there. We put mushrooms, we mushrooms in wood. Yeah, we put we got some dowels, and we've been slowly clearing some stuff. So everything we do physically, we do. So we're putting yoga and posture, like awareness, consciousness, into every movement with breath, so that when we're sawing the tree, it takes a few goes, and that's the movement going forward and backwards, but we're always changing the pattern. So if we're right-handed, we'll actually start with our left hand, and then we'll have to do that, and we'll do it on our side, and then we'll do our right, and then we'll do them together, and we'll be changing our leg positions and putting yoga and awareness into everything that we do, because we just get physically and mentally exhausted. And taking care of the garden, I don't know if it's because of the autism, but metaphors and all that stuff used to be really confusing. And a lot of the metaphors are about the garden and growing, and the garden and the gate and this, that, and the other. And for us, it's actually been really literal. It's our life. So I don't know if the ZanoniSnowflake channel is going to be like the narrator of our story, which may start now or yesterday. I don't know when the starting point will be, because there's so many different starting points. Because, for instance, when we do the tarot deck, which we'll do in a minute, we take the bottom as the unseen, the unconscious, the involuntary muscles, the unaware, subconscious aspects, the unseen, and the top is the conscious. Now, in a seesaw or a straight line, so you've got the conscious, and you got the unaware, the subconscious, the unseen, the seen. But if you join that into a circle, they're both in the same place. So if you've got like a 3 one end, let's say, now let's do nata. You want the 3 is the connector. So you want to do, okay, so if you've got a 6 one end and you've got an 8 the other end, and you join them together, your 6 and your 8 make 14. Temperance, balance, eucalyptus. So made of new beginnings and the Emperor, Magician and Emperor. 5, Hierophant, change. We got an email, Hierophant Publishing. Okay. So when you bring that circle together, if you then put a twist in it, you've got the 8. You've got your 14 or your 5. The actual, if we just dance with numbers 1 or 0 to 9, then your first tier is 5. It's your second tier 5 is 14. Third tier 5 would be 23. Then the core vibration of the number energies, which is what we dance with better, would be first tier 5. It would be second tier 5, 14. So it's kind of like if you've ever done your family tree and you got your grandparents and and you got, it's like a pyramid scheme, but not a bad thing, a good thing. And so then we take the middle one. So you've got the top, the bottom spectrum of energies that you start dancing in. Let's give lots of information. And then you take your middle one. And the middle one would be the focus point, because you don't really know where the beginning or the end is. But if the beginning is the end, because we were born in a dark moon, and the dark moon is the same as a new moon, but it's the trough, but it's the left-hand side of the trough rather than the new side of the trough. We were also born the day before an eclipse, and so when we've looked into all of this, the energy and everything's really potent, and there's the void, it's the vortex, it's the darkness, it's that empty space, it's the black hole, it's dark, it's black, it's what we see inside when we close our eyes, but that's pure potential. And where there's pure potential of darkness, there's pure creation. And what's coming to us now is Christ consciousness, and pure unconditional love, where some people just cringe, which we used to when we were around babies, because babies are just a completely open vessel of pure innocence and unconditional love. And this is going back to Jesus being born yesterday again, and those energies that are around. So yeah, 8. It's going to be long, this, isn't it? Oh, look, it's 108, 22, 23, 24. 108 is a really important code. That's what a lot of our challenges were. We're going to do lots, you see. We're going to do, what to talk more. Can we talk for you, please? Because so we can conserve whatever our energy. Okay. Thank you. Yeah, we're going to do 108 days of music, hopefully consecutive. And we like to multitask. So in that 108 days of music, there's going to be non-consecutively 108 days of our harmonium, 108 days of our didge, 108 days of our drum, 108 days of our uke. But we get really frustrated with the uke because our fingers sublax, and we want to get proper ring splits to stop it rather than putting rubber bands on. So there's going to be a lot of emotional releases with all that. 108 days with our healing ash flute, because again, I mean, if you look into Isaac Newton, Einstein, a lot of these geniuses, they all played music. I'm not sure if Tesla did though, but they all played music. And when you look into music and the scales and octaves. Like when you listen to people talk about energy, sometimes they talk about frequency and vibration and they call it the same, or it's about raising our vibration. And for us, a lot of that just doesn't dance for us, because, or it doesn't harmonize with us, because it's about the full spectrum. We need it all. We're three-dimensional human beings in a human vessel. We're not this or that, we're this and that. And raising our vibration is like, Jesus walk on water, we know how. Okay. It's Christmas, we share it. Yeah. Can I do it though? So we're just managing embarrassment. Okay, so Jesus walk on water with atoms, with vibration, with a dead leg. Left leg dead, it's the top more. Sort itself out. Okay, let's read and distract ourselves. Burp. I know that we want to tell good stories, but it's exhausting, and the throat, and it's just like, so we're kind of, when we're talking in the one tone, it's a few of us. We've got a bit of a spaz attack coming on. Hold on. That's why you get that down, isn't it? This is why we need to do our 108 days away from everything and focusing on our body. We tap in with the New Year's resolution, collective unconscious energies, because everyone starts off real good, don't they, doing stuff, and we're going to tap into that and get support. Yeah, we are, aren't we? Yeah, we find it hard doing on our own. And then really just focus on our body and strengthening it more from the subtle area, because the faster the vibration, it's boiling water, it's steam. And if you had, and we know this from physical experience and burning ourselves a few times as kids, putting hot water into a plastic container, which has just got a pop-on lid, it will explode off from the pressure, from the heat. But if you've got a clip-on lid, it'll be easier. So when we are going deeper into our central core house, our central energetic centers, there is a faster vibration of energy. So to be able to handle that faster vibration of energy, which is what the Iyengar yoga philosophy was about, it strengthened our peripheral nervous system is our voluntary muscles, and our limbs of action, our hands, our feet, our arms, our legs. So if we strengthen, and this is what normally works for people in yoga, but as I said, we're the rare of rare, and our value is that we want to include everyone. And for example, one can teach a class to the average person, but it doesn't include old people, it doesn't include people with EDS, it doesn't include, whereas if we could teach a class that for someone that's hypermobile, that's coming at it from the subtle aspect or direction, the inside out, and that's available for everyone, so it's inclusive to everyone. And it may be hard and challenging to start with, but the younger generations that are growing up, they've been growing up with this faster vibration, technology, World Wide Web energies, so they can handle these faster states of consciousness, multidimensional consciousness. But just because each generation that's born is a crystal child, an indigo child, a rainbow child, it's not limited to just that generation. It's everyone has the option and the possibility of tapping into these different generation frequencies. That is the makeup of that time. I mean, it may be it probably is harder, because we have to change our habitual patterning, and it's, I mean, there has to be the not just the want, but the will and the drive to change that. And our drives being death and suicide and not doing that. And as we learned from Reem in the words and the language, utilizing the death energy, which is all this stuff that we've been doing anyway, we just wouldn't have had the words for it, is a very strong, potent energy. And so therefore, and wanting, I mean, with autism, there's a rule book to socializing and interaction. And a friend of ours told us that. She's like, I've not read it. It's like, well, I didn't even know there was one. So it's infinite possibilities and everything's open to all of us. It's just whether we want to tap into that. And a lot of people, from what we're learning, is people want to have ascension. They want to reach these higher, older states of consciousness. But for us, I mean, we didn't really understand any of that. We didn't know about it. We just wanted to be content. We wanted to be happy. We then realized that actually we had a whole pile of physical pain and we just wanted to be pain-free. And so I suppose our intention and our drive, even though it didn't come from the conscious mind and the wording, we've had all of it there before. It's just been intuitive and instinctive, but on a different understanding, a different level. We've learnt lots from all Reem, Rob, Cindy, Russ, tapping into all the different energies at different times. That's a big one. So now we're going to bring them all together. 6 and 8 is 14, which is 5, and 3 brings us to 8. I think this is the sound on our webcam. How is the sound, Cathy? Because you've been here on other ones. Is our sound clear? Is it even? Is it better than previous? If you've got any memory, we wouldn't be able to answer that one if we were in your position. Good and clear. Well, that's good. So we're just going to do a little bit of uke for the sound. This is more of a little experiment for us, so that when we listen to it back, we can see what the sound quality is like. So this is, oh, and this is another one. So if you've heard of 432 hertz healing and how everything used to be tuned to 432 hertz, which is really harmonic for a cellular structure, and how it heals the cells and makes them, you know, just makes them better and heals them. It's a harmonic, it's a symbiotic relationship that goes on. But as soon as media started being broadcast, everything got changed to 440 hertz. Now for us, like when we first heard this, it was kind of like, you know, oh, it's them, the governments, the systems that they're trying to control. They're you know, the conspiracy theories. They're trying to rule. They're trying to break us all up. But where we've grown is that everything's energy. If there's that control or conspiracy thinking, that's the duality reality that comes from emotional attachment, of which we had a lot of strong emotional attachments. And for us, that's unhealthy. Energy doesn't have emotional attachments. It doesn't have opinions. All of this, it's energy. And so the then insights that came after that was, well, actually for us, we need the 440 hertz that breaks down cells, because our connective tissue, so we see that we're just one big SCOBY. So if you've ever worked with kombucha and you've got the SCOBY, then we've got SCOBYs that have been collected and they're lined up. if you go into understanding biology in the skin, you've got your epidermis. You'd have about 7 layers of epidermis and skin that are all layered up. And we've learned, we tend to just zone out and look at stuff, and there's lots of information that comes in all the time when we do that. And so we learn that we're just one big globule of bacteria, and it's the bacterial communities, hence why it's so important for our bacteria to be so diverse and healthy and friendly, just like humans need to be diverse in all their cultures and friendly and harmonic, because humans are the gut bacteria of Mother Gaia. And so when we can live more from our heart value-based systems that filter out the belief systems, we understand the importance for the diversity of the belief systems. And that due to particular people's makeup, they can have completely opposing belief system to someone else, but they come from the same heart value-based system. And so the bacterial communities make up the cellular communities. And if we've had trauma or miswiring or patterning that's got twisted and, you know, whatever, that needs to be unwound, unraveled and rewoven, rethreaded, then that we need help breaking up gently, or not gently, but preferably gently for us, that connective tissue, because it's the connective tissue which connects everything in the body. Take away the whole body, leave the connective tissue, and there's this most beautiful multi-dimensional spider web of everything. So you can see the lungs, every organ, the heart, the bones, the veins, the nervous system. You can just see it all. It's like this map, this transparent map. And the electromagnetic energy is the nervous system, the electrochemical energy is the circulatory system. And so you need that fascia gently taken apart, which is what the 440 hertz does, and then the harmonic. So everything has all sides to the story. It's really interesting. And this is ash. Yeah, right, that's the ash tree, isn't it? We don't really like the sound of it quite too much. We want one of the double ones that's got the tone underneath. So let's see what that sounds like. Is that everyone? Are you all happy now? Yeah. Okay. There we go. That's the music done. So, should we do it? Yeah? Everyone ready to do it? Okay. So this is done quite a while ago. Jump. It reminds us of, I suppose it's in some of the full cards. Hello, Beyonce. Oh, thank you for the flute. The flute's lovely, aren't they? What's a hello, Beyonce? The jump's like the fool. So we're jumping, we're taking a leap. And there's a whole little thing written inside. And it's this bit that's important, the seesaw. So on one side, you've got, on that blue seesaw. Oh, you want to start it? Yeah. Okay. If you had 3 questions only to ask someone to really get to know them, what would they be? ShintoSEs are: what ignites, sparks your passion? What's your biggest, wildest dream? What's your biggest, worst fear? Words of wisdom: how to truly get to know yourself. Every aspect, even the darkest spaces you're unaware of. So for us, the darkest spaces are the dark bits of the body where the nervous system isn't activated, and we need to change the pattern and the posture in our body to bring breath to that area. Because when we do yoga or exercise or any kind of movement and then breathe in that movement, we're changing our bodies into different postures, into different patterns, different forms, different shapes, and that's getting more oxygen to different parts of the body. And where the oxygen goes, it's where the nervous system lights up. Spectrum from linear perspective, central pivot of balance, indifference, neutral, and that's where we're kind of aiming for to function from. And then on one end you've got the resonant harmony, 432 hertz, and on the other end you've got the dissonance, the chaos, 440 hertz. And all of it's needed at some point or other. It just depends. Okay. Look, we're gonna do, I think it's been coming into our awareness with this meditation, we're gonna do, because we're doing our meditations and it's like 44 days and we've just started the next one, we've got 88 days ahead of us, and there's 78 cards in the tarot, and I think there's 78 cards in this. So we're going to do one a day, which we focus on. There'll be the shuffling and there'll be the spectrum of energies for that day, and then it'll be one a day. I'm not sure how we're going to do it, because I can tell when we do it, it's going to be really emotional. And so I want us to record it, but I know sometimes we're not able to record when we're in certain situations like that. And I wasn't too keen on it, but others of us are, is that we've been doing these Zendaya. These are on the Joy to Coco channel. We did the moon journey through the feet, and that was every few days with the moon cycles. And then we're doing this one every month, although we haven't done it for the last 2 months. We might not do it on the next one either. I think we're not going to do it until after our birthday, until our energy levels are topped up more, which is why I was shocked with this live. But we might come on live every day and pull a card every day live when we do it. But we're not sure yet, because it's not going to be like a typical, we're the tarot reader, or we're going to pull a card and give a message to you guys. It's going to be, we're going to do a healing journey. Do you want to jump on our energetic train and do it with us? Whatever comes out in the moment is going to come out in the moment, and it's going to be a collective purging, a collective healing. And if you ever see us kind of doing our dissociating or spasming or twitching or going into our sounding, because that's what we need to do in the moment, then that would be guidance that you could do that in the moment as well. So yeah, if there's anyone that maybe wants to join in on that and do it together, rather than us doing it on our own, attempting to record it, and some of us just don't like doing that. Whereas when we did the poems, the daily poems, some of us like getting on doing the daily poems every day. And now that we've got all this new equipment that we've got to learn, in doing that every day, I can see that we might get the free StreamYard live streaming thing and learn other stuff along the way, like we learned and grew on our daily poetry with our video editing, but this time we'll learn and grow on our live streaming. So it'll be, again, lots of multitasking coming in. But in us doing that, whoever's watching, like Cathy, if you're wanting to develop your channel, as we're doing that and growing and doing all this stuff here, that energy, and what's most important is always, and this is our intention, our purest of intention that we've put through since we became a Reiki master, is that the energy and the information that we send out through our electromagnetic fields is the most important. Our words are the least important, because it's our words that have always caused the chaos and the confusion, because some of us are back to front and use words back to front and upside down and completely change the meaning of what we're intending, but the other person listens to the words rather than listening from the whole body and the heart, and it causes misunderstanding and pain and confusion. And this is our passion. We want to learn and play and learn and grow with our passion and delve into understanding and developing all these ways of communicating that's not through words, even though we get anxious and go blah 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 blah. But in us doing that and us watching back all our videos, we've seen where the words don't align. We've got to know ourselves better through doing that, and got to become more self-nurturing and compassionate and less judgmental, because we have to go through the process. And something that we've always known and we understand more now is the hardest part of waking up isn't releasing the denial or becoming aware. It's being the conscious, aware, witnessing, observing eyes, however many of them there are, that has to witness ourselves and observe ourselves being the person that we don't like, doing actions that harm others, but we're not able to change it in the moment. Another reason we've isolated ourselves, to create less pain on others and less pain on us. But the more we do that, the more we're able to become a responsive person over a reactive person, and become more impeccable with our words. The 4 agreements. First agreement, be impeccable with one's word. Don't take things personally. Always do our best, but knowing that our best is going to change depending on our energy levels, how tired we are. And don't make assumptions. Question everything. Yeah, then put ourselves in other people's shoes and not an attempt to understand. We may not completely understand them, but are we assuming this through our lens of experience, our lens and filters of perception? Maybe theirs is completely different. Coming, Zendaya. Hello. Hi. How you doing? Hello. How are you doing? You want to live, okay? Don't come say hello. Come say hello. Okay. Pick you up. Oh, hello. Oh, gonna get down. What's up here? Put the energy in there. No. Oh. This is our bestest friend, aren't you? Mwah. Okay. Yes, you are. We never got much lap cuddles off him, so he's taught us heaps. So if we want to do more, we understand us through him. And we're like, what do we need to do to get more lap cuddles from you? I don't know what we did, but whatever we did it right, because we get loads of lap cuddles now. One of them is being receptive to them. Ask for lap cuddles, but then when he comes to give us lap cuddles, it has to be not just on our conditions. It has to be on his too, doesn't it? Hey? We've covered you in a bit of glitter there. Covered you in a bit of glitter. Yeah. You want to come up here? Okay. Not really suitable, but that's okay. We're not going to be controlling. You can do what you want to do. And so the last bit of the card is embrace our chaos and dissonance to find the denials in the darkness. Wow, I didn't realize that's what I was going to say. Well, obviously we did. One of us did. Using the joy of our resonance and harmony to light your way, to light our way. And so living our integral, authentic, transparent, courageous, vulnerable selves. So that's the card there. Can we do the box opening now and not have your butt in our face? Thank you. Love ya. Okay, so you can't see this now. I suppose we should just get up and check, because this is the important bit. Is that still recording? Yeah, that's still recording. Oops, Daisy, the hammock's in our way. Is this still recording? Yeah. Okay, so cameras are still recording. Oh, you can't really see it here too, but we've also got like more parsnips and stuff harvested from our garden. So I think after this we'll be wired. That's what used to happen. So maybe we can get on and do our food prep so that tomorrow half the job's done and then we can cook Christmas dinner finally. Last year we ended up doing it and did it all nut roast and healthy, but the little ones didn't like it. But we did have a really lovely Christmas dinner for a month afterwards. 78 cards. We'll do the perfect thing, no doubt. Yeah, whatever decision, it's just making a decision and doing whatever is always the right decision. Excellent explanation. I'm glad it's an excellent explanation. I'm not sure what on, but I feel your passion easily. Yay. Kitty cat. Yeah. Yeah, we're fun. We are fun, honestly. We crack up sometimes. We really like go through everything. So here's the pop box that we completely unexpectedly received from the Healing Oracle team. It was Cathy that contacted us, Twittyverse. You got a stick on the outside. And then you open it up and there's just all the way through, you can just, the love and the care and the intention that's gone into it is just, it's just breathtaking and taps you right deep into your heart. There's a sticker, so you open it up. I have to do this slowly to the top. You've got a sticker there. And straight away it's like, orange! It's the second chakra! It's the moon! It's our emotions. Because when we're able to wake up and become more aware of our emotions and become responsive beings over reactive beings, human being, not human doing, humankind, be kind. So yeah, it's the tissue paper, the orange, and there's, take that out. We love the tissue paper too. We'll upcycle that, you see. We wrapped up all our Christmas presents, upcycled with, some of it was even from like packaging around the outside of boxes, like the green stuff. And we didn't think there was a guidebook, and there isn't a guidebook, but there is a bit of a information thing there. So I'm not sure if this is going to be what comes on the final one or not. Thank you. We're going to read that one. Thank you for generating interest in our Liffruma Healing Oracle deck. To join the magic, visit rustlinaround.com. So we'll put this information below. We didn't have the ones of us there to be able to do that. And you've got each of the 78 numbers and word. You can't with the focus, isn't it? Yeah, we'll when we edit this through and back, we'll probably take pictures and do things like I can imagine. So the one that's standing out for us now here is 42 Candle and 44 Condel and 44 Condel, because we're 42 and we've been doing the 44-day meditations. So it's got, our pronunciation would probably be very inaccurate, but that's if there's an accurate one in the first place, because everyone says things differently, don't they? Hod, blind god, son of Odin and Frigg and brother of Baldur. He is associated with night and darkness. It's really aligned to what we've been talking about, isn't it? He is associated with night and darkness. He was tricked into killing his own brother and was sentenced to death for this deed. Baldur, god of light. His mother, it's the light and the dark again together, isn't it? Tito Mumata. Yeah, we've got this one here, which is like your spiral. You can slightly see the black and thingy. It's like a spiral vortex of black and white in there. We've also got our moonstone. We've got kyanite, flint, And that's a stone from Cooper in Central Australia, the opal mining capital of the world, but it's all hand mined, no machinery mined. God of Light, his mother Frigg, loved him so much that she made everything promise never to, she made so much that she made everything promise never to harm him. Maybe that's meant to be everyone. Yeah, his mother Frigg loved him so much that she made everyone promise never to harm him. Mistletoe was overlooked, and so Loki tricked Baldir's brother Hod into shooting a mistletoe arrow at Baldir, killing him. The Midgard, realm of humans, Aether, celestial fires of life that burnish all they touch, so we might polish back the shine. And we're getting a tingling sensation going on here now, and this is your lungs, it's your sinuses, so the respiratory system, but also your lungs, and it's on the right hand side of the face. The right brain rules the left body, the left brain rules the right body, but not the eyes. The left eye goes to the left brain and the right eye goes to the left thingy, but this is pretty much is your lungs. So I think it's the right lung. I know on your reflexology on the feet it aligns with the same side of the body, so we're assuming, although it's don't make assumptions, that that's the case on the head as well. And then you just have to smile, because especially when you're us and our little ones, because one of the tarot packs that we got was the Moon and Stars tarot, and on this you've got a beautiful little, we love our little bags, our little ones love our little bags and cases, and you've got a beautiful, and we're so tactile, so you've got a beautiful, you can stroke it, you can, it shimmers, you can, in the lights, you've got all the sensory systems going on here. You've got moons and stars on the case. You've got a pearl, the oyster and the sea, like the you've got the lotus that struggles to grow. It comes from muddy water and dirt. The pearl's made from dust or dirt to grain in a shell in the depths of the ocean where the pressure's different. And you've got little tassely things, and we like tassely things. They just feel nice. Again, I suppose this is what they call these days and age ASMR, isn't it? Where you get the tinglies or something. But then before we delve into this, it's like there's more tissue paper. We've got peach, which is kind of cross between the heart and the second chakra. So there's the ones of us that like the colours and the numbers and all mean stuff. And you got gold. And so when you relate it, we really go into depth. When you relate it to the body, you, in Chinese medicine, you've got your meridians. So we talked about the electromagnetic energy going through the nervous system, the electrochemical energy going through the circulatory system. These are the veins and the arteries. They're the channels in the body where the energy flows. And energy is more conductive in water. So the liquids that we put into our body are really conducive, is that the word? Influential to how the energy travels in our body. And so your meridians is Chinese medicine philosophy perspective of these channels where the energy flows. The energy is called I think it's Ki in Japan and Chi in China. So your Chi flows through your meridians, and the meridians, if you were to look at a meridian chart, we've got one in there which is in German, so that we don't get distracted from the English words, so that then it's our sub and super conscious. When we observe it and look at it, it's our sub and super conscious, the subconscious being the body, the dense, compressed, unseen energy that's already manifested into the physical. And so that's our body. So for instance, we'll watch something and someone will do something. Your forearms and your calves, they're related to your large intestines, your colon, your ascending colon being your right calf and your right forearm, your descending colon being your left arm and your left calf and your left forearm. So I think there's someone itching, and it all starts with an itch for us. And when you get itched, there's an area there that's either, depending which direction you're coming at it from, it's either starting to wake up and you're getting an itch, or it's starting to die off. You know, it just depends. So we're all about, when we said about our hair growing back, we're about the regeneration. It's Bruce Lipton epigenetics, above genes, genes being nature, nurture being environment. It's like we don't have to get caught, although it's really easy to get caught in the governmental systems, the being a victim of circumstance. Everything's related these days to giving your power away to someone to help you, whereas we can be our own teacher, we can be our own student. The student is the best teacher. So when we become our own student and our own teacher, we're completely empowering ourselves from all directions. And this comes first. We don't trust other people, or we have all this skepticism or doubt going on. Speaking for ourselves and what we've learned, that comes because we don't trust ourselves, and we've got all this skepticism and doubt in ourselves, which we had because we couldn't trust our body. We've never had this connectedness, we've never had this balance from the deepest part of ourselves. It's never been connected, and so that's what we're connecting, and hopefully we'll end up getting a body that we've never experienced before, which would be incredible. And so these meridians in China, so when you look at the meridians on a chart, you'll have like the liver meridian, the lung meridian, and it'll go up a certain pathway, but then it'll disappear. But it's disappearing because it's going deeper in or round to the back, because the body kind of, these energies spiral round. If you look at the torus or the toroidal flow, there's this spiral movement of energy, which is the oxygen, the breath again. And then you've got your linear channels, the up and down, the fire and the water. In Thailand, it's called the Sen lines, because we did a nerve touch Thai massage, and these channels are called the Sen lines. In India, it's the nadis, and your prana travels through the nadis. And so when we look at this, your meridians, your Sen lines, your nadis are the linear. And so there's all this stripped up paper in the bottom. And so look at that, it's pink. Pink for us is the deeper inner child, the deeper selves. And so we've got the linear connections of pink to our deeper selves. When we breathe through our nose, we're accessing the finer threads. And when we breathe through the nose, it goes up through your respiratory system into your brain and then back down. When we breathe in through the mouth, it's the thicker energetic threads. So these are the Littlelons call it the rainbow spiral. The adjective comes first, so it's a red car. So the rainbow spiral electromagnetic fields of these amazing quantum bioorganic computers that we live in. And so that's the linear, and it's the pink, but the linear is the masculine, but pink tends to go to the feminine. So there's this union of the masculine and the feminine in the masculine. The thicker threads and the thinner threads being gold, the magic. Gold's also connected to the yellow, the third chakra, which is your solar plexus, it's your rib cage, it's the control, how when we are able to use our rib cage, and that's our breath, how we use our breath and breathe, and rib cage depends to then whether how much of a responsive being we are to a reactive being connected to our emotions. Our emotions being the orange, this one being a cross between the orange and the pink. And so these are the meridians, the nerves, the matrix in the body. So I don't know if we'll put some of these pictures up as well. When you've seen the connective tissue or the fascia, it can be in this complicated kind of look a bit chaotic and a mess, but you can also then see pictures like in more of the science one, where there's like a graph paper, and it kind of, you've got the fibers and the lines of the muscles that are wide, but then it'll go into the narrow point of the river. So you've got the wide river going into the narrow point. So hence why to get length, we need to widen our muscles. The muscles go into the tendons attach onto the bones, and the ligaments are like the guide ropes that hold the bone structure into place. And with the Ehlers-Danlos syndrome for us, it's a collagen malfunction, but it's a lot in the ligaments, because a lot of stuff that we've suffered is very similar to our ex-stepsister from having a baby. So a lot of women that have had babies, and what they then suffer from having the babies pain wise is just what we naturally get from EDS in a way. And so this is the linear, the thread, this is the linear bits of the matrix of the body, the connective tissue, which is also, you can have it on its sections, but when we talked about this, the spectrum of energies in the cards, and you've got the conscious, aware, seen spectrum of energies on the top of the pack, the unconscious, unseen on the bottom of the pack. But when you put it together in a circle, they're in the same place. So you've got your 8, you've got your 6, but together they add up to 14. So 14 is the core vibration that one's dealing with, moderation, a mirror of self-discipline, 41, but together equals first tier 5, which is change, which is normally portrayed as a challenging card, which it is challenging, but it's change. It's the only constant. The only constant is the vibration of the atom, whether it's a slow vibration in a really dense object like a table or a chair or a book or a bone, to a faster vibration of your immune cell, white blood cells going through your, is it veins or arteries? I think veins is the blue that's used up oxygen, and the arteries are the red that's got the live oxygen in it. And so that's then your fascia train. So your fascia train is, sometimes when we have physical pain in the body, that's the symptom, but that's not the cause. And the cause of it could be somewhere really unexpected, from a domesticated current societal way of looking at stuff from a left brain linear logical way. But when we're able to step into the right brain way of thinking, it's very circular. It seems illogical. It seems like you're going round in circles or on this loop or this pattern. But if you think about going down a funnel in a spiral, if you get a marble in a funnel, it's getting narrower and narrower until it reaches its center. So you are revisiting these patterns and these cycles, which I feel for a lot of people happens over a longer period of time. Whereas for us, through what we've been through in the last 5-6 years, it's kind of all condensed into one, and given us a whole different way of experiencing. And so that's the fascia train. So for instance, one of the longest fascia trains is like from the back of your head, you've got your left and right vagus nerve, which are really important, but we're not going to get into that because that really go on. But go from the back of your head, which goes all the way down your body to your big toe. So you could have some, we would walk, we've got issues going down in our big toe on our left, which is really about here, which is connected to the heart. And there can be issues here that you feel, and then that would send up pain to our teeth. So everything in the body is completely interconnectedness. And when we can understand the interconnectedness and feeling in our body, which doesn't have to come from this complex understanding of the biology and chemistry and wording of the body, it can be from something that's just an inner knowing and an inner feeling and an inner sensing, that we get used to we understand less is more. So therefore, to tap into the subtle body, we have to do less is more, which comes from the breath. And we can then feel that when we do something here in the mouth or something else, we can then feel that in our toes. So you're feeling on another part of the body that network of circuitry that's going on. But that's the linear. But this works when it goes fast. It's like a Catherine wheel. So a Catherine wheel is a 2D plane, and it's a sparkler, and it goes around really fast and it fires off sparkles. So we would see that on here on the packet, like one of these. That's like a 2D perspective of something that's moving quickly, that's got a real circular vortex force in the middle, with a lot of momentum, and then as it spreads out, it's sending kind of out sparks. And there's all of these going on because each chakra is a spinning vortex. It's not a wheel, it's more of a sphere, a ball. And so that's the linear train that's doing all these spiral movements that spreads out stuff. And when you've got a few of them together all interacting and moving round, that then creates, rather than just one linear perspective with stuff sparking off of it, that then creates a surface area fascia train. And so that's then what these bits are. a complex mind that we have. So for instance, you could look at the vein or the artery, but think of it in energy, more of them that you have together that are lit up then creates a sheet or a plane. So rather than a line, you've got the whole part lit up. Whew. So that's what we got from the packaging. Upcycle, yeah. So when we do our videos, it's not just going to be focused on this stuff. We've got like leather boots and leather and anything from DIY. We want to, we built our own van. We need to access these brain networks in us again. So spent more the credit cards that we're not going to spend any more money on, but we've bought tools. They're in the garage, and we're going to start making and creating, and it's going to be all stuff that's kind of the connecting. Hey, now, no, we can't do it now, can we? So for instance, now today is Monday, Moon Day, Magic Moon Day, Monday. So the moon is number 2. Yeah, number 2, the intuition going inwards in the tarot, the high priestess. Now, each of your days, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, has a ruling planet. Monday, the high priestess, the moon. Tuesday, Mars, the tower, 2, 16. Wednesday, number 1, Mercury, the magician. Thursday, Jupiter, expansion. Thursday, and if you know languages, this you've got French, lundi, mardi, mercredi, jeudi, vendredi, samedi, dimanche. So they don't all quite go in, but lundi, mardi, mercredi, jeudi, Jupiter, Thursday. There's all these. It's like etymology. That's Jupiter. We've done it, haven't we? Tito pay tai nomo po. The wheel, number 10. Oh, that's why. Okay, so number 10 was the room we were in the psych ward, and it's karmic completion, and we're going through a karmic completion in a big cycle. We get emotional when we make connections and hit deep truths again. So when we tap into our deeper selves, our inner child, our inner children, our deepest aspects of self, especially when there's parts of us that have been yet to even be born or birthed into the physical body. And when we take that child state perspective, children will sit on a couch upside down. They'll just do whatever their body wants them to do because they're shifting energy, which is why it's so. And so if you've got any children that are in school and they're getting told off by their teacher for sitting on their chairs and rocking their chair backwards and forwards, unless their teacher's really going to tell them off, the reason children do that, it's better alignment for their posture. So they're moving and they're fidgeting, they're getting told to be still, especially from the older generation. Kids are not to be seen, not to be heard. And it's like, but then if we're someone that gets really good at projecting inwards rather than projecting outwards, we're keeping all that energy inside. And then if we're someone that experiences trauma like animals, your body contracts and the adrenaline pulses, getting ready to fight or to flight and run away, or there's the freeze. But if you freeze, you haven't utilized that adrenaline in the body. And so unless then after the episode, like animals, if you've got a cat or an animal and they have a traumatic state, they'll go away on their own into a corner and they'll just shake. Remember when Zen did this, and it was, oh, we hated it. It was horrible, but we just had to let him shake out, because you have to shake that adrenaline out of the body. I don't know what we're talking about then. Trauma, fight or flight muscles. No, it's gone. We might be able to add that on afterwards at the end. Yeah, upcycling, that's what we said. So with all the wrapping, the paper, so our channels, it's about, I mean, how do we do it? they say don't follow the, you know, find your niche, do whatever with the channel, but then yet at the same time people don't want to, they want to be individual, we want to find our authenticity, we want to find our uniqueness, but then we have to follow systems on YouTube where we get so that we get our videos seen with the algorithms, whereas we don't want to follow any of that. We want to be our authentic self, do all our different things that are all interconnected with the times of the planetary days, the times of the day with the planetary hours. So for instance, it's Monday today, which is the moon, but we're in a certain planetary hour, probably a few, as we've been going through this live reading. And there's things like we've learned, there'll be things that we want to do and we feel we need to do, but we can't do it, and there's no point doing it if it's going to use up heaps of energy that we don't have. Or we could just trust our heart, trust our intuition, learn from the last 6 years that we do stuff if we can, when we can, which is normally in alignment with the energies, because rather than putting the theory first, we have to have the physical kinesthetic experience to then put the theory to afterwards. And we're now putting the theory to our experiences, and there's going to be these big stories that all kind of come together from the past while we're still creating in the moment with growing the garden, making things with tools and stuff, making things with making our own creams, our bath bombs. Oh, it's just, there's so much. So if everyone was able to understand and see the interconnectedness of everyone, of everything, and delve into this holistic lifestyle in a symbiotic relationship with our internal environments and our bacteria, but our external environments and nature, and we all reach this place of authenticity, I mean, you wouldn't even need copyright stuff, because copyright would go out the window, because no one would be feeling like someone else was stealing your idea, because we don't have these unhealthy emotional attachments. But plus we're all so authentic and unique that no one has the same idea, because we've gone into the deepest depths of ourselves. So we have these out there visions which are a bit nuts, but then the algorithms and AI wouldn't be able to take over like some people fear, because everyone's authentic and they wouldn't be able to go through, so there'd have to be all these new systems created. You're learning, oh, we're glad you're learning so much from us. We are too learning so much from us, and we learn so much from you. Isn't that a beautiful just dynamic and relationship to hold? Your sharing these deeper knowings are so special and precious for you to know. Thank you. 14:41, is that what time it is for you? Was that 4 minutes ago? We do cover a lot, don't we, though? Fascinating topics and discussions. Yeah, we never know what's going to happen, but that's why it's like unplanned, unexpected, because we did our first community post earlier as well. And that's what we've got to trust. But I suppose we can't just come in complete. We have to have some bit of intentional focus or guideline, which today was the unboxing. But look how long it takes us just to do this. So it's kind of like, but I think there's lots that we can get, like maybe this video is the starting point, and upon us editing this, we come out with loads of shorts, loads of body stuff, loads of this, which then go into other videos or something. I don't know, we just got to trust the process and embrace the unknown. Oh, you feel so happy, yay, we feel it too. And we don't feel like we look like an old person clown with our makeup on either, looking in here. So we'll see what it looks like when we watch it back. Adrenaline frozen. Yeah, it doesn't feel good. Well, we were in the paralysis state. That's what we went into heaps. So we know that state really well, which is why we're really tapped into the subtle energetics really well. But having been brought up in a male environment and an academic environment, and be made to believe that we're just an emotionally turmoil child, rather than actually know she's got like all these physical stuff that causes her heaps of pain. I mean, now for us, if we were a parent and our kid was acting in a certain way, we would understand there's a cause to that. They're not just being awkward, they're not just doing it to piss you off as a parent, you know, they're just freezing because they feel other people's energy, and you get told you're not allowed to be seen or heard, so you have to paralyze. But then, for instance, our thigh muscles, which is ruled by Jupiter, the thighs and the hips and the liver and the sacrum, we were using 4 muscles to do the job of 1 muscle that didn't even work. So that's utilizing up 4 times the amount of energy to do a job that could be a lot easier. And when we've got Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, we use up 4 times the amount of energy anyway. It's like no wonder everything just collapsed in. So it doesn't feel good at all. And with the trauma and our unique package of gifts, which society labels as disorders and syndromes and sees as weaknesses and vulnerabilities, which is why we want to do this and want to find our way to financial self-sufficiency so we can get off disability benefits, because we see that as still being part of victim consciousness, and we feel that we're going to grow and flourish so much more when we can leave that behind. So that's what we feel 2023 is going to be about, and we always do put in the effort. I mean, we've put in a lot of effort already so far. I think that's why it was quite really hard to take down all our videos. But with our trauma and our experience and the fact that we've had to do it all alone as well, that we've always been an inspiration to people before. So we know that we can be an inspiration to people now, but we know that we need to be able to keep really healthy boundaries. But we also know that we need to be able to verbalize that and vocalize that in a way that the receiver, no matter who they are, can understand. And so we then have to grow and develop these aspects in ourselves. Yeah, we have to trust our instincts and our timing and just do, which is why this has come about. Lovely, 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 jubbly. So let's get opening this beautiful, because we call our garden the subtle sensory stimulation, or sensory stimulation subtle. It's SSS. Subtle sensory stimulation, sensory system stimulation, healing sanctuary garden. It's something like that. We've not got it in the moment. And that's what this is, just straight away from the vision, the sight, the vision, the feeling, the look, the thought. There's just, it stimulates and activates all of our sensory systems. And then you've got more of the threads, but this time you've got yellow. So we've gone from the deeper heart of our younger aspect of self into our solar plexus, so that all of our rib cage and everything can, oh, Cathy, you've put in so much love and effort. And you've then got another beautiful Hessian. It looks like Hessian, and it's transparent. You didn't make all this stuff, did you, Cathy? Like, you didn't go make all these and make the cases. That would be absolutely insane. But there's been 50 of these. So you've done this 50 times at least. Subtle sensory stimulation garden, yeah. And then just more wrapping, more package. It's just like gifts and surprises. So this is what we feel or think. Silly name, mindfulness. It's about emptying the mind, really. But this is mindfulness, where you put the almond, or it's not very good, that's going to be a lot of people with nut allergies, but you put the food into your mouth. But before you put it into your mouth, you feel it in your hand. You feel the texture of it. You smell it. You then feel the texture and consistency of it in your mouth. You taste it. And it's really been present in the moment. And we've gone into blue too. I look, and even like to that, we used to gift wrap in a shop, you see, when we did retail. So you've got all this with the beautiful bow and the way it's wrapped and the sticker again, but then you've even got a few different layers of tissue paper, and they're lined up one on top of the other to just create this. It's and then a gold sticker saying thank you. It's all those little things that really matter. We bought some leggings that was obviously from a small business, and she put so much effort into the packaging. I mean, they'd be great for kids, but they weren't great for adults. And we made sure we had a larger size, but it was still, the material wasn't quality. It was, I don't know if it was a certain type of cotton, but basically you put them on and they're see-through. You had to make sure you wore something underneath. And they wanted us to review it, but we couldn't review it because we'd have to say, well, we'd recommend it for kids, but not for adults. But we loved the packaging, and there's so much thought and attention that went into it. But then we need to give constructive feedback, because otherwise these people will be losing out on future business where they could maybe find a better quality fabric or a closer knit or something. So yeah, we're still working on all of that. We're still dancing on all of that. We don't like the word work. We have to say dance. Work implies a lot of effort. Dance implies effort as well, but it implies more fun. And sometimes dance moves are complicated and it takes practice. But when you're having fun, it's not like, and it comes from the heart with passion. With passion is compassion. Compassion in French is with passion. So whatever it is we're doing, when we do it with passion from the heart, whether it's building a house, making coffees, being a chef, being a carpenter, a sparky, when it's done from the heart with passion, which is why in the old days where one used to create with their hands, it's a really special, there's so much, you feel that energy in it. But that's not to say that technology and doing artwork by hand and doing artwork on the computer, there's no good or bad or better or worse. They're just very different experiences. And being human is to experience life from our sensory systems and from the subtle sensory systems, and understanding about instant gratitude and long-term gratitude, and attempting to fill that void because we don't want to feel certain things, but yet we want to feel at the same time. We tried to take that off gently, but the perfectionist in us was a bit disappointed because we couldn't quite get the sticker off. Are you okay, Zen? Yeah, you don't want out, do you? See, if we were really prepared, we would have had our little craft knife, and then we could just do a little line with the craft knife. We made a Christmas card for our uncle, and that's when, like, that was a more subtle example of the sight board experience. We realized that it's our younger alters, our cutting wasn't straight. We got glue on the front of the photo, and there's the one in us going, oh, look at that, that's kind of shit, oh, you've made a mess, oh, that's this. And it's like, well, we don't have time. The fact we've done it at all is amazing. And then we realize, well, it's the younger ones, we're using these younger networks in the body that haven't been used before, and we have to train ourselves how to, like, if you clean your teeth with your right hand, you have to learn how to clean your teeth with your left hand to match it up. And to start with, it's not as neat and easy. And then in all of these beautiful indigo, the third eye. So we are connecting our third eye plane fascia. So the third eye connections through to the body, down to our second chakra, into our, this is, I would say, is between the solar plexus and the heart, because the heart is green, and so that's a yellowy green. Or is it a greeny yellow? I think it's a yellow. It's a yellowy green, I'd say. And then blue, which is the throat chakra. And then you've got your plastic wrap again around them. And the first one is the void seed. We've been talking about the void. And Tito Pompai. And so we've got to interrupt and do the first surprise. It's kind of like a rattle. But in here, let's read. No, not homemade cases. No, but very beautiful. We're going to say, yeah, that's a lot of effort. Com plus passion, with passion, compassion. Yay. Yay. So in here, you've got the most beautiful seeds from beans in our garden. I don't know, it's like, yeah, we don't really know how to. So yeah, they're not so easy to show on the camera, but they're kind of white and purple. We've got a short video short on it, an SMAR one and another one. And then there's these broad beans, which are bigger, and they're black. That just looks black. They're kind of black and purple. When we opened these up, just they were so beautiful, it made us cry. They're kind of like black and purple. We'll put better photos up with that. But if we take those seeds out, I wondered why they got them out. They were up in our kitchen. We don't know what to do with them, but if there's a way to test them to see if they'll grow, ones that float and ones that don't. And then the ones that don't float, that won't grow, I suppose we'll eat them. And then we've got the astro dice, planets, signs, numbers, with an extra one, which is from a backgammon board. So we're just going to shake these. And we have 64. So 12 is complex stability in the masculine 3D dimension. You have a baker's dozen, a dozen eggs. So we see 12 as the seen masculine energies, objective, collective agreement, objective reality, what we're seeing, tangible world, as the masculine. 30 as masculine complex stability, 13 as the feminine complex stability. So you've got 12 months in a year, but if we did it by the moon, there'd be like 13. But then we're not sure what the feminine is, but in the unseen divine feminine and divine masculine, 64, which is your Merkaba. I suppose this just gets used to the camera, doesn't it, and where it is, because it does focus it if we get it the right place. But you've got 64, which is the Merkaba Metatron's cube shape type thing. So that's the unseen divine masculine complex stability. That's how would love to know that one a bit more. I know dice are great, aren't they? If you play backgammon, we do used to love backgammon. So that's the 64 that's come out there. We've then got 11, ZanoniSnowflake's vibration, the first master number of individuality. The Shushumna, Shushumna's finally cleared. Well, that would be good, because then we'll stop squinting, because the Shushumna, the central channel, you've got one part of the spine going back around the head. So each of the chakras that you have going down the body, you also have up here, and you've got them down the front. So this is your shoulder line, your eyebrows are your shoulder, and this is like your heart, your lungs. If you sit cross-legged, your knees are here, and you've got like your colons around here and stuff. So 11 is the Shushumna, so that's been coming up. 10, 64 equals 10, which is your karmic completion, which is 1. So we've got 1, 1, 1 there. Aries. For us, our heart is Aries under the Western astrology and under Vedic astrology. So when we say that, we mean our heart, Venus. So our Venus is in Aries, but under Vedic astrology, it's Pisces. In Western astrology, our mind is Pisces, but in Vedic astrology, it's Aquarius, which is Mercury. Chiron, our Chiron is Taurus, but in Vedic astrology, it's Aries. So because there's so many of us, I mean, on our astrology books up there, we've got Chinese astrology, Mayan astrology, Vedic astrology, Western astrology, Native American astrology, tribal astrology. So that's 5 different types of astrology. So there's different ones that speak to different ones of us, because I suppose with all our traveling around the place as well, different ones of us come out depending on the land energetics that's going on in that place. And so when we came back to England, it was really hard, because when we go back to the place where we're born or to our parents, it's really challenging to form a healthy adult relationship and not go back into like the child parent mentality. And when we go back to places that we've grown up or people that we've seen, it can like draw us back. So in us coming back here, because we loved New Zealand and living out there, in coming back here, there's all these parts of us, our personality when we were traveling, that's so self-sufficient and everything, that no one knew here, and we didn't really have anyone that asked us about any of it as well. We're not one to kind of bombard people with it, and so coming back here has really brought us into our youngest aspects of self and our roots. Aries is the start of the astrology, considered the start of the astrology chart. It's number 1, first house. It's about the self. But for us, it's not spring when we can see things, where things start. For us, it's winter. So if you think of it like a battery, and your battery gets fully charged on your birthday, because it's sidetracking, isn't it? Then coming to the end of your solar year, before you've reached your birthday, your energy is really depleted. But then on your birthday, your energy kind of gets topped up because you get attention and love and gifts and cards from other people. And so therefore your battery level's been topped up again. So we think of it from living in our van. You've got the car battery, which is the main battery, which is our life force energy. And then you've got the leisure battery, and the leisure battery is either charged up from the car battery or from solar panels, etc. And so the main life force energy from the car battery goes down, and then it's considered when that goes down, you die, and that's it. But we feel that that can be recharged up. And we feel that we're recharging that up and our leisure battery so that we can balance it more. So the day doesn't it's winter. If your battery's dead, you need to take it out of the car or out of the vehicle and need to plug it into a mains charger and charge it up. So if you need to go somewhere and have your day start, it needs to start the night before, because you need to plug in the battery, charge it up, and then take it out and put it into the car. So for us to develop our morning routine and for our day to start 22 to start the next day, we need to first develop our nighttime routine. And when we get our nighttime routine sorted, that will help us get our morning time routine sorted. So for us, it doesn't start in spring, it starts in winter. The first month of winter is about the mutable. It's about getting used to changing from the autumn into winter and adapting to winter. The second month of winter is the fixed signs. It's about settling into winter, where we either consciously or subconsciously start reflecting over the previous years and what is next year. We do a lot. We trust the power of our sub and superconscious mind, because our conscious mind just is so much information going on all the time that we've had to really surrender and release the need to know and understand, and trust that if we're meant to know and we're meant to understand, we will at some point in the future, as and when and if, and it will all come together. And that's starting to settle in now, because we are starting to notice so many signs and synchronicities, and there's just this inner knowing and this inner grin. Oh yeah. And there's just this tiny little niggle going, what are you grinning at? What are you laughing at? I want to know, which I suppose is what people call the ego, or the monkey mind. And we've managed to not suppress or repress, but we've managed to quieten that a lot more in the different aspects of us. That doesn't really quite, we're getting frustrated because that doesn't really do it justice of what we're attempting to explain, because we're mimicking other people and it doesn't quite work for us, but it works enough for what we're trying to explain in this moment. So yeah, spring actually starts in winter. And it's the last part of winter where again, everything that we're familiar with in the conventional academic logical way of planning and writing down, the last month's planning, but for us, we're going into being familiar with the unfamiliar, to let things ride out how they're going to ride out, to see what our new ways of planning are, because all of our Littlelons are learning and they're the ones that do all of this. And our garden was a right surprise this year. We thought we had bolted cabbage plants, but it was actually Brussels. So we've got Brussels and our own parsnips and a few carrots and our own leeks. We've done really well with the garden this year, but it was all over the place. The celery we discovered, we thought that was coriander. We thought the parsnips was flat leaf parsley, and was one, and it was spread over in like 4 different places all over the bed. So it was very, very fun and surprising. But the year before, we'd been really logical and prepped it and planned it, but we couldn't do that. There were ones of us that did that weren't around, so it was either how it got done or it didn't get done at all. And it had to get done because we remember the disappointment and feeling when it didn't. So I suppose this is releasing the perfectionism and having to do it this way. And this is also what we want to put across in our channels, is about finding your own way. We don't want to teach kids what to think. We want to teach them how to think, so they can utilize their own problem solution solving skills and find their own unique way of doing something, because the future is so amazing and so beautiful with all these magnificent minds that are going to be coming into play. It's just incredible. And so Aries is also like the ram, just thinking whatever, we won't go into it too much. And then we've got Pluto, creation, destruction, death, rebirth. Pluto's the ruler of Scorpio. Mars is the traditional ruler of Scorpio, but Pluto's the modern ruler of Scorpio. So Aries is the Littlelons, it's the young energy, it's the new energy, it's the thinking and experiencing like a child, like you've never done it before, and just putting yourself out there, irrelevant of whatever, which is everything that we've done so far. Because that is like the house outside the willow, it's number 16, it's the tower, it's rebirth. That's where creation and destruction come from. It's where birth, death, rebirth, and that cycle of life happens in whatever it's in. And knowing that whoever we are, we all have this. It's just really uncomfortable tapping into those child state, new beginning energies, because it's not familiar, and the not familiar is uncomfortable. But when we can do the uncomfortable and not familiar with compassion and nurture, and realize that we have to go a bit of insane first to find sanity, and realize that it's everyone else that's insane, then life really starts unfolding for the beautiful thing that it is. I've no idea what we're talking about. Yeah, there's so many amazing battery metaphors, and house and wiring and plumbing, like all of it, from what we've been going through in our body to building our van, to wanting to build our house, to the way things work. I don't know if this is the autism and the masculine energies as well, but it's fascinating. And there's so much, but that's where we have to just do it bit by bit and see what unfolds when it unfolds. And which we've got really good at not watching stuff on YouTube and surrendering all that, because we don't give stuff up, we add things in. But we had to add in more, we had to add in come on, yeah, we made it. Okay, one of our angles or perspectives on the camera, the battery just started dying, but we managed to plug it in within the 30 seconds, so that keeps it going. The new we're swatching between our old phone and a new phone, so it's really interesting on the battery. And the new phone does loads of cool things, like when you watch people when they bring up their phone shot and do all this other stuff. It's just amazing. So okay, so the void, the seed, so we're going to just do it as it is. Oh look, our connection's unstable. Please wait while we try reconnecting. It's still going on the live. I think it's fine. Yeah, add things in that bring us joy and fun. Although if you're like us, you might have to redefine your meaning of fun and joy. That doesn't involve pubs or intoxication or So we're going to do the first and last card. Okay, so the last two cards here. Okay, there we go. Is information. So I love this, the back of the pack. So I mean, we're not when we get into the back of this, for us, you've got the figure of 8 patterns. You could put the chakras, the center of the chakras. It could be the snake rolling round. This is from the collarbones down to the sit bones, and this is from the top of your head down to your sacrum. Or you could think of your head up here and your legs down there, and just think of this as the torso and the way the energy flows through it. And we do a lot of patterns that involve the different runes. We didn't know it's the different runes. This is just what we do inside, where we close our eyes and do sacred geometry of the eye moves. So it's like eye exercises, but we'll do it through the front of the head, the back of the head, the middle of the head, and just draw the axes of the planes. And as we're doing that, we're stretching the energetics of our fascia trains and surface area and stuff. So yeah, so the pattern back of the cards are beautiful. They've got the, are you wanting out then? You just, no, you're cleaning. Oh wow, they're cool names. Reem Ahmad, Rob Keehn, Russell Penn, which is the rare gazelle, Roddo's rustling around, and then beautiful artwork from Eden Sherry, which is Instagram. There's an interesting the way to do the A and the E. Instagram. I Amtherist artist. That's really cool. Filtered through the Twittyverse. Beautiful lens that is, that Twittyverse. We love watching the birds and listening to the birds. And the Witch Eye of Patrick YouTube Ryokuruk. That's awesome. So it's just giving you all the information of the collective that on that. Liffruma Healing Oracle, Wassail, beautiful people, a huge thank you. Dear treasured card reader, this project to create an oracle deck from the runes has been an incredible healing journey for me and everyone involved in the collaborative process. At first, I thought I needed a deck that would lead me as a card reader into new directions by opening fresh stories and energies that could be explored. However, as the deck grew and developed with the loving assistance of fellow readers and subscribers, it began to take on a life of its own. The runes and their burgeoning cards began to decide their own frequencies that we have all tried to honour in creating this deck. This limited edition first print is the opening chord before the we always describe it that we've got many orchestras as our personalities, many orchestras, and we're developing all the individual parts of the orchestras, the masculine energies, thinking the part. Because when you are a whole, when people, I think we started this earlier, we're fragment. When one starts on the spiritual journey, they kind of think of themselves as one self, and then realize there's many aspects of themselves and start feeling a bit fragmented and all over the place. For us, we were fragmented and all over the place, and then started on the spiritual journey, although we didn't realize we were starting on this spiritual journey, and those fragments fragmented more. So then it was like chaos. So we're like many orchestras in one. So this is pulling our chords, striking us, but it's on a very complex, multi-dimensional level. In and out and up and down and round about. It is. So here we go again. This limited edition first print is the opening chord before the full symphony follows. We trust you will connect with the magic hidden inside each card and their symbols. You are all part of the continuing creation of this oracle deck. Thank you, everyone, for being involved in this collective project. You are the magic. We are the magic! Faithfully yours, Russell Penn. So we're just going to let Zen out. Thank you, Zen, for guiding us, because that's going to get some fresh air in and some connection to the greater spirits outside, and stretch our knees, because we lose that connection, don't we? Hey, beautiful boys. Hi. Hi. Mwah. Breathe in the air. Well, that was good. You can hear the sea as well in the background. It's a little way away, but it's how far is it? I don't know. It's maybe a mile or two. We're in Mount Hawk, which are very good energies for the frequencies of the vibrations of the words. And poofed. Yeah, we won't go into that too much. Okay, yeah, that's true. And we looked at the stars as well while we're out there. So, Detox, yeah, but number 0. Oh, so they're thinking there's meant to be 78 cards, but it only goes up to number 77. But that's because there's 0. So 77 is the number of spirituality. 78 is the number of spiritual career. So we're going to start, because even though the pack's up like this, we're going to see that as the conscious aware seeing, because we've seen it. So 77 is the subconscious, the unaware spectrum of energies that we're dancing in. And we just love these colours already. They're like the stickers. So if you've got these colours here, they're very, your pinkies and your blues and your pastelies, they're kind of paler, where you've got those colours again, but they're more from the darker aspects. So it's the same colours with the dark background, so with the white. And we get drawn into this one much more. Probably part of to do with the eyesight and everything. We saw something the other day where it can show, so we know from looking in the mirror and a lot of stuff that's gone on, that when we've done our breath work and mirror work, that our head will be back to front and we'll be missing limbs. We know that that's not the case, but yet that's what our reflection's giving us. And so that for us is the distorted wiring of our sensory systems and the information going to the brain. And now this happens for everyone, even just down to illusions. And there's certain illusions where they change the color of stuff or the patterning, and it can make our initial reaction see or think or experience something that isn't really the case. So for instance, we saw something the other day which was this pattern, this shape, but underneath it had these arrows pointing the other way. So when you draw a line and point the arrows the other way, it makes it look like the bottom line is longer than the top line, just by changing the direction of the triangular arrow. And this is where we can't always trust what we see, what we hear, what we experience. And so therefore, the deeper we connect into our heart and the deeper we connect into the void, the seed sound, vibration, not about singing, not about making beautiful sounds. It's about tapping into singing, it's not the nightingale in some of the oracle cards, sing your own song. It's vibrate our own frequency, vibrate our own tone, get to know ourselves through the vibration, because with the vibration, depending where it is in our sensory system, depends how we feel that vibration. And then when that can get experienced and felt through our vocal cords, because in nerve touch Thai massage, you pluck the tendons. And so when we vibrate our vocal cords go, it's our digestive system. It goes right down into our stomachs. So making a and there's in the yogic breath, there is a buzzing where you from your nose, you can feel your inner lips vibrating. When we make that sound, it's sending a subtle vibration down our vocal cords, right in to our Celtic knot, into our intestines, into our belly. And the energetic center is 2 fingers below our belly button. And so that's the subtle approach. So rather than sports massage, manipulation of a knot and separating the fascia that's adhered together through dehydration and what have you, it's separating it from the inside out, because then that pattern on the inside, I think this is on the Odin of the 9 Realms blue cards, you have a figure of 8, but you've got the figure of 8, a small circle going into a big circle, and then a small circle going into a big circle. And that's showing in a visual format in 2D, that spiral pattern of the figure of 8 from the smaller into the bigger, into the bigger, into the smaller, which is kind of what we were saying in the body and the patterning. We don't know what we're talking about again. So we're going to leave that there. So this is the spectrum of energies that we're dancing in. 77 is a spiritual number, 78 spiritual career. Like I said, 77 equals 14 again. We were talking about 14 earlier. The day doesn't add up to 14 though. The day adds up to 6, but it was the 8 and 6 that add up to 14. Okay. 7 is a very spiritual number. It's the number of the Chariot card, Cancer, which I got by Cancer is ruled by Monday, ruled by the High Priestess, ruled by the moon. So you have number 18, which is the moon card in the tarot, but that's actually related to Pisces, which is the modern day ruler of Neptune, but the traditional ruler of Jupiter again. So that's Thursday. So you've got your 7 days of the week, which is your High Priestess, Moon, Mars, the Tower, Tuesday, Wednesday, Magician, Mercury, Moon, High Priestess, number 2 rules Cancer, the Chariot, number 7. Mars rules Aries, which is the symbol that we got here, which also rules Scorpio traditionally, but Pluto rules Scorpio modern, in the modern chart. Now your outer planets, Jupiter, Neptune, Pluto, Uranus, they affect the whole collective of humanity, everyone. They're slower moving planets, but because they're slower moving planets, they have a big impact energetically. And the personal planets are considered the other 7, or your luminaires with your sun and your moon. So that continues on. Then you've got Mercury, Wednesday, your Magician, number 1, that rules Virgo and Gemini. Thursday, Jupiter, that rules you've got all your body parts here. Gemini rules your lungs, your nervous systems, your hands, your arms, your shoulders. Cancer rules your breast, your chest, your stomach. So they all go into it on the body parts. Where are we getting to, guys? Something's not quite coming out, is it? Yeah, we haven't been to the sea for ages, but we used to park up in the sea with our van all the time. Okay, so it's gone again, but that's okay. So this is the spectrum of energy for dance within. 0, unity. 77, spirituality. 14, moderation. 5, change, which brings freedom, is the only constant. We talk about the darkness and the void, the seed, pure, the darkness, the void, vacuum equilibrium, 0 gravity, where pure potential exists and pure creation stems from. the seed sound. Or we talk about the vibrations going down, weren't we, as well? The seed sound, vibrating and resonating our own vocal tune. And the more that we do that, and inhaling sound, the more we explore our vibration and our frequencies through sound, the better we get to know ourselves. That's what we do anyway. That's what our body and our breath and everything's been teaching us. We've gone from a 2D square like shape on there. We also we just see that initially and think of guinea pigs. Ginnan gap gap. Ginnan gap gap. Ginnan gap gap. Ginnan gap gap. We like that. Ginnan gap gap. Ginnan gap gap. Ginnan gap back. Ginnan gap back. But for us, we say stuff backwards. So pagag nunnig, pagad nungig, pagad nungnig, pagad nungnig, ginning gap gap, ginning gap back, pagad numbig, titupa. Yeah, we went off on 1977. That actually looks like the beach and sea and big standing stones or rocks coming out of the sea. It actually kind of reminds me, rather than the Seven Sisters on the south coast of Australia, between Melbourne and Adelaide, but closer to Melbourne. I think that's right on that one that we said that. But you've got 3 of the standing stones with the sea coming in, but with an atmospheric Mars sky. Mars actually being the rule of Aries. Aries rules our head and our face. And when we were, we used to go into the camp in the woods a lot, especially when we were just busy. And we'd put a hammock up and we'd have Dakota, our black cat, and that would be our meditation. So we would sleep in the woods at night in a hammock to ground ourselves and meditate. And there's this little area we'd go to where there'd been like this little camp kind of made and fire pit. And when we were doing this, is when we started because this was about a year before our seizures, and we started having what we could only best describe as, although they weren't controlled from the conscious mind, but kind of controlled epileptic fits, because it wasn't like an epileptic fit taking us over, but we'd start having these real, like an epileptic fit, but it would happen from the breath. And with the breath that we were doing, when we had our eyes open and we were looking at the sky, what we can best describe that as is we'd see lots of blue dots. And the closest thing we could connect it to was when you got a cartoon character and they hit their head and they see stars, or they've got stars spinning around their head. But it's like those white dots. So I don't know if that's kind of, we've seen lots of things like that in pictures where you have just the blue dots. So I think that's maybe when one's sight is viewing like we talk about the matrix in the body of the connective tissue, the electric ocean of the energetic atmosphere around us. So you're kind of seeing through the illusion of this objective collective agreement reality, where this is a crystal, that's a book, that's a camera, that's a laptop, and actually no, you're just seeing the atoms vibrating or something, maybe. So you've got the C in this 0, the pagagnungig, ginanungag gap, the void, the seed sound, where the square is related to the masculine energies, but it's 0. So you've got the masculine and the feminine in there. A crack of light coming in. Very red, reds and orange, but very red. So the root chakra. There's a lot of red happening today. So there's a lot of energies grounding into the physical dimension and the physical reality. And this is related to the coccyx as well. So if you want, like we said, how do you go forwards and backwards at the same time? Let's walk backwards to your destination, how do you touch your coccyx, the bottom of your spine, with your tongue? Which is like the married, one of the, where they do the mockery with the face, and the New Zealand tribe. So this is, again, it's refraction of the light through the crystal. I mean, when I look at that there, I see a mountain climber, an ice mountain, and you've got a guy up the mountain that's upside down. So you have to turn it that way round. But I don't, when I turn it that way round, I see a spider carrying a big ruby crystal. So it's a mountain, ice climber mountain, that way round. When you turn it that way around, it turns into like a spider fly with a big red ruby white crystal on its back. So we've got the void or the seed, and then the journey home, which is Ham Farowd, Bifrost, journey home, or Delariath Ma, Tosophib, Or Yen Ro'o. So again, it's like the walking backwards is changing the patterning in the body, but the speaking backwards. So in seed sounds, because this is the void, the seed is ah or To do that backwards would be or ah. And to do it backwards and then backwards within the breath. And so it's accessing different parts of the body, because when the liminal state, the between worlds, is between the seen, the tangible, the unseen, the untangible, and how we experience that and how that reflects in our body is, again, the space where the breath's going into, and when parts of the fascia in the body is kind of ripped apart. So that's, you know, when you feel like your chest is cracking open on a subtle energetic level, your chest is cracking open because certain parts of your energetic patterning and alignment needs to have it kind of cracked open first, so that then it's got the space, like just like sewing or material. When you make something, you're sewing, but you did something wrong, so therefore you have to unstitch it, and then you cause a crack, an opening, and then you sew it back up again. But we have all these different vibrations going from the lowest frequency and the longest wavelength. So it would I think it would have a small amplitude as well, because if it's a long wavelength, so it's a sine wave, but you've got like a long wavelength, whereas when you go from, that's the red, when you go up to purple, you've got a faster wavelength, so you've got a higher, more repetitions per second. And so that's all your different rainbow threads in your body, and you've got the thicker rainbow threads, which is the mouth breathing, which goes directly into your body, and then you've got the thinner rainbow threads of each spectrum that goes up oxygen into the brain first and then down. And once we are able to change the form and the shape of our body patterning, surrendering and releasing the familiar and embracing the unfamiliar, and embracing the inner child, and ignoring others' opinions and assumptions and judgments, knowing that that's just a reflection of their own internal reality, and embracing life through the lens of a child again, and connecting with our breath, that connects to our heart, then our body puts us in the shape and the form and the pattern that it needs to go in to get oxygen to that part of the body that it needs to be brought to activate and light up those parts of the nervous system. And when we do it from the inside out, we're doing it from the central nervous system, bit of gobbing. And when we do it from the central nervous system, which is the emotional house, it's our emotional centers. That's why in yoga it tends to strengthen you from your limbs of action first, so that you've got that strength, so that when you hit the energy core, the central house, and all that emotion, especially from your past experience and unresolved trauma, unresolved perspectives, because when we're a child, we experience and perceive we are the center of our story, we are the center of the universe, and that is still the case when we're an adult. But when we're an adult and when our body has grown and developed to its optimum alignment and optimum posture from the baby fetal in the womb, just from the trauma of being birthed, through healthy optimum experiences in nurture, even if it's not the case in nature, because we have all of our family lineage trauma from whatever the trauma is, and depending how far back that goes depends how deep it is in us, in our central nervous system. And depending how deep it is in us, in our central nervous system, that shows how deep we're willing and wanting to go deep inwards. But the more that we do have that want and that drive and that will to go deep in, is how we start changing the world, by just being us. Because that's the collective unconscious, what Jung talks about. And we can't change others, and we don't want to change others, even if we do really, the child aspect of us wants to. We don't. We want to be able to accept people as they are. But we can change, and that means that they might not be on the same spiritual growth journey of wanting to be the best version of themselves, because it's hard. And it takes courage. And it can be lonely and isolating, but the reward is massive. And when we can accept this in others, that shows a true reflection that we're able to accept ourselves, and we can't change them, but they are a reactive being, and that's their life journey, because maybe that's their life journey for us to experience and learn something in ourselves, to learn pure compassion, to learn unconditional love. But we can be the change we want to see in the world by changing ourselves as much as we're able to and wanting to, with compassion and kindness and gentleness, treating ourselves and our inner children like babies. And children, but the way that we consciously parent and treat our children. And so know that if they're doing something that's frustrating or irritating, our children and our pets are reflecting the inner worlds of our reality that we are not able to quite go to yet. And they're the biggest spiritual teacher and spiritual lesson going. And we don't have our kids in the external sense of the word, but we do, because we present it in the external sense of the word. That's how we're learning about ourselves. And so when we are able to go to those deepest aspects of ourselves into the central nervous system, we're changing that collective unconscious energy, which changes the other, because you're changing the energy that they're reacting to. Oh, went off on one there, didn't we? Let's read and calm down a bit. Eve, hello. Okay, good description. Electric ocean of the energetic atmosphere around us. Yeah, we love the electric ocean. Maoris, I love the Maoris and the Moku. We were so at home in New Zealand. Well, if we leave it up to our conscious mind, everything takes forever to learn. But when we do it to our subconscious and our superconscious and take it from a child's perspective, you end up kind of starting to do it automatically in a random way. But I mean, that specifically works for us because we've always been backwards. If we don't understand something, explain it to us backwards, saying the can instead of the can and swapping the meaning of the words around and stuff. You say your name backwards all the time, Eve. What's up? But Eve is Eve. That's a certain word, isn't it? Because it's the same, like Hannah, Eve. Our birth given name, Neve Coleman, was Namalok Hermain. And it's really interesting how we say this, because belief systems and attachments, what we learned since was coal man is a man that mines coal. And in Wales and Cornwall, where you had all the coal mining, it was poor people. So you're never really going to have any money or get very far. Whereas now we've taken our mother's maiden name, it's Purcell. So if you take off the ELL, you've got purse, and it could be a genie purse, which is just like never ending money coming out. And then it's got the word cell as well, which is the cellular structure. So the vibration for us with the autism and the vibration of the words and the context, it holds so much in it with the frequency and the void, the seed sound. And so Purcell would be Lekrup. Snowflake is X of ones. Yeah, because snowflake backwards, snow backwards is ones. WONS, ones. It's like, yeah, ones. Well, it's like win, but ones. It doesn't sound quite right now when we're saying it. So it's X South ones or something, and then Zanoni in on as or something. Yeah, it's a bit more complex. We haven't done that one as much. Hi. Yeah, I know. But that's why we weren't sure. We was like, where's Eve's name? Eve needs to be down underneath Patrick's, but we didn't want to say that because it was live, and we're still got the kilts in us. We don't want to say or do something wrong, but we've got to get more into the free flow. But yeah, we knew Eve was on it. It's lovely to have you here as well. Upside down, on its side. So for us, people add the numbers together. But if we were really going to get into it, you've got your 4 directions, north, south, east, west, which we're going to stay with because it's going to go too far. But you've also got like inside out. So if you've got a graph, X and Y, you've got your minus X and your minus Y. But then you can have Z, and you've got your Z and your minus Z. And then you've got the axes of a 3D shape. So if you have that axis then in each of your energetic centers, your chakras, you can then think of it like your 3-dimensional cube matrix at each place, and you think of that moving and creating the energy. And like, I don't know, there must be a computer game, we don't play computer games, where you know how you've got the different levels and you've got a swinging seesaw and an up down lift, and you've got to get the swinging seesaw that's swinging left and right and forward and backwards, and there'll be a split moment in time where that seesaw that's swinging forward and backwards and sideways will meet up with this lift, and then you've got to jump across, otherwise you fall down the crack and die. That's what's going on in the body all the time. And so keeping it simple in the 4 directions, when we add the numbers together, we've got addition. So addition is like expansion, which is Jupiter energies, archetypal energies. But then you've got the opposite, so that's your X, but then you've got your opposite, your minus X, and that's your subtraction, minus. So this card here, you've got 14 on expansion, addition, but on contraction, Saturn energies, we've got 0, which means we've actually got a double 0 going on here. But then you have, and this is where our words aren't accurate, impeccable. But then you've got because when you've got infinite, you don't have boundaries. And so the whole thing with EDS and Ehlers-Danlos syndrome in the body is you don't have boundaries. And you've got Jill Bolt Taylor, which does an amazing TED talk where she has a stroke, and it's like, what a dream to have a stroke, being a neurologist and actually getting to experience it from the inside out. And she describes herself being in the shower, and it's her right brain where you've lost all kind of logical symbolism comprehension. So you're where, you know, 3 is half of 6, and you're going into 3 is half of 8, but 3 is not half of 8 because you're speaking language, but it's just like, it's the symbolism, it's the patterns. And she can't decipher her arm from the shower. You've just got the atoms vibrating in her arms, the atoms vibrating in the shower, and that's the interconnectedness, that's the oneness where everything's atoms. So when you go deep inside, we feel we don't know because we don't have that connection to, because we're the macro and the micro. But in between the macro and the micro, there is the emotional attachment of belief systems, which brings us to angels and dragons and spirit guides and power animals. But if you go below that, that's then where you've got sacred geometry and fractals and just patternology and symbolisms without the logic and the structure. And so with EDS, and this is where we're reading this book, which is we talked about the camera and the pectin powder coming with us earlier, but we got a book delivered to us called The Flamingo Feather, which is written, it was in the scene of 1948 tribe in Africa, and really dark black skin, and in one of our hydrotherapy baths it came to us, it's just perfect that we're reading this book of the fundamental African tribal connection to the land, to the rock, to the sand, to the spirit, to how everything has got meaning in it, but to these people where that black people just look beautiful and look younger. I'm really sorry if I'm not PC correct now, I don't mean to be, but their skin doesn't what's the word, it doesn't age. It's thicker, it's stronger, it's a more of a barrier. Whereas with EDS, you can see your veins, the skin's really fragile. But then you can get into like, well, that's the whole English or Western class system where, oh, actually it's better that if you've got white skin, because that means we've got more money and, you know, we're not working slaves out on the land. It's, oh God, F that stuff. But then also from like India, when we were in India, it's better if you're more voluptuous and you've got more weight on you because you've got more money to eat food, and it always goes back to more money and this hierarchy and this class. But for us, on the fundamental energetics, it's like, wow, we're reading this book and we're the complete opposite of this fragile, translucent skin to this really strong, beautiful black skin. And we're absorbing those frequencies and those energies, and our body is absorbing those frequencies and those energies, because we watch someone and someone talks about their knees or this, that, and the other, and it's like, oh my God, my knees are really enjoying watching you now, or, you know, what have you, like our teeth and our mouth alignment for our teeth really enjoys watching Cindy and listening to Cindy, because I can't quite explain it all, but our teeth and that energetic alignment's getting heaps from it. So going for, I know infinite means that it goes on forever, but from this perspective, because we don't have the words for it yet, you've got multiplication and division, and your multiplication is infinite expansion and your division is infinite contraction, where you've got the fractals within the fractals within the fractals, and the expansion where you've got the whole cosmos within, and without, etc. And that's where, like, you pop inside out, if you've ever seen any of those cool patterns. But infinite, when you divide or multiply, but it's not so much with multiplication if you're dealing with whole numbers like integers, but if you're dealing with, like, if you've got the number, it's not going to work, 27, and you would, to add them together, your expansion would be 9, your contraction would be 5, your infinite expansion would be 14, 2 times 7, but your infinite contraction would be 7 divided by 2, which equals 3.5. Now that 3.5 would be infinite contraction with boundaries, because you've got a set number. Whereas if you do it a dividing number and it just keeps going on and on and on, that's true infinite contraction. Suppose it could be now in this moment, we're feeling like you've got your nodal paths and the elliptic curve. You've got your true nodal paths and you've got your nodal paths, which is like the meridian or the mean or the average or something. So I suppose it could be like, yeah, I don't know, I've lost it what we're talking about again, but that for us is like the four directions. And then you've got the inside out and other stuff, but we haven't quite got there with that one yet. So that's what we'd get from the number 77, or 7 divided by 7 is 1, masculine. Oh, this is getting good. 7 times 7 is 49. It's 49 adds up to 13. 13 adds up to 4. So 49 is 4, 13, 20, it's 50. It says add 1. 49 is 50 a fourth, if that makes sense. It's 5 down. But 49 could be 94, because from the world, the reality of trauma, where the sensory systems get fragmented and the logical brain isn't working, there is no structure. So you could have a 9 floating around, you could have a 4 floating around, because you've got the in-between liminal states, and there's no there's no coherence, there's no cohesion. And so that's why we're the illusion, the computer games analogies, the matrix, there's all these metaphors and analogies for us have become into comprehension and understanding the more we've connected to our body and our breath and our heart. So 7 divided by 7 is 1, which is the masculine, the linear, the tangible, seeing, collective agreement, reality. That's the infinite contraction with boundaries, because it's one word, an integer. 7 times 7 is 49, so that's infinite expansion. 7 plus 7 is 14, and 7 minus 7 is 0. So that's all those numbers that we get out of there in the four directions. But the next thing that we really like, because this is all about the yoga, this is ShintoSEYE, it's the Shinto's yoga experience, yoga being the union, the yoking, the joining, the harmonizing, the balancing, the alchemizing between the masculine and feminine in the 3D, and the seen tangible, and the masculine, the divine masculine and the divine feminine in the unseen, and alchemizing them together into union, so that you get the 7 divided by 7 equaling 1 to go onto the 0 to give you phi, the golden ratio, the center of the sunflower, the center of the pine cone, the central, the void, the vacuum equilibrium. Oh, I don't need to breathe and read. Oh my god, we can't really read. We're having big shifts. I know. We're gone really young and deep, I think, because we can't really read very well. Yeah, we are pretty far. I think that's the autism. Oh, bless you, sweethearts. Cry, Eve, cry. We've done lots of that today. We didn't tell you how Jesus walks on water, did we? We get on more tea. So, okay, we'll just do it really quickly if you can keep up with us. So you have to understand the concept, which is really easy. Dense objects, the atoms vibrate really slow. Water in the freezer or in cold temperatures goes to ice. It's a solid format. So you're talking about your solids, your liquids, and your gases. When that ice is at room temperature, it's a liquid form, but when you boil it in the kettle, so you can really see and feel ice. And if it's kept at a cold temperature, it doesn't melt. If it warms up to the room temperature, it starts melting, and the liquid, the water, then takes the form of the vessel, the container that is in the body, the temple, the antennae. Well, the body's an antennae, a receptor, a transformer. It's all of it. We're this most amazing bioorganic computer. But then when it's steam, it's expansive. So steam is light, it rises. It's the evaporation of water, and it's the weather cycles. When you create that cycle of water, is the highest form of intelligence. It holds all memory, even water, mem ori. When you look into the etymology, no, we're not going there, okay, but if you look into all of that, that's fascinating as well. It's about how water holds all memory. And so for our little ones that taught us, when we're tuning up our water with our tuning forks, and when we're creating the same energetic frequency inside of us and outside of us, we drink that tuned moon water with the tuning forks. And we also then put it in the bath for us to then have our hydrotherapy bath. And then we let that water out, and it's like is it the naturopath, the homeopathy, where you're microdosing again? That water is going down the plug hole and then going out into the water systems, and then evaporating out and going into the drop of the ocean, or the ocean in the drop. The ocean being consciousness, the ocean of the subconscious with the physical form of water, or the electric ocean of the energetic atmosphere. the ocean being the liquid format that could correlate or correspond to the circulatory system in the body with the blood and the flow, or the lymphatic system, which is so hugely important because that's what filters out and drains out the toxins, which needs to be functioning properly then to create a healthy immune system, or the limbic system, which controls the hormones in our body, which then also has an effect on our emotions. So Jesus walking on water, how can that be possible? Well, when we are creatures of habit that don't move, we are subject to the forces of gravity only. Whereas when we can change our patternology, change our form, change our shape, put ourselves in inversions, we're changing that flow of blood, we're changing the direction of oxygen, we're changing the activation of whatever muscle groups or fascia trains or electric circuits are working in the body. So therefore, when we push into the ground, there's meant to be this push back upwards, but if the body isn't functioning properly, we just become heavy, we become dense, and we're all pulled more and more down to earth. But when we reverse that flow, we can end up activating our deep inner muscles, core muscles, if they're aligned. That's what we're aiming towards. But we've aimed towards this through understanding pictures and images of, like when we saw Pinterest and you've got the pictures of the galaxies and the globes and that fundamental Fibonacci, that's what we're talking about, the golden ratio patterning going on. You've got that central vortex that we were talking about at the start with all the wrapping paper of equilibrium, of the Catherine wheel of energy. So ice, water, gas. Ice is denser and heavier than gas, just because it's all the same. It's all water, it's all H2O, it's all the same atomic structure, molecular structure. But depending on the temperature depends on what format of the vibration of the atoms, to whether the vibrations of the atoms are expansive with lots of space between them. Yoga is about bringing oxygen into the body, creating space. The more space and oxygen we bring into our body and create in our body, the more of that expansive light feeling that we have, and the more of that light feeling that we have, the lighter that we are. Our metabolism's working better, we become lighter, our digestive system's working better, we've got all the healthy friendly white bacteria. And so another thing with us eating all the junk food of our habitual patterning that we've done before, but cleaning our teeth more with a few boundaries and guidelines, is that actually we don't crave it so much, we don't want it so much. But if we do have it, we're still eating all our fruit, because our fruit has our phytonutrients in, which create the antioxidants that get rid of the toxins. That also then we have all our liquids, which can dilute the stuff as well. So we're keeping our kombucha, our lemon and honey and ginger with our grated rind, because you've got your prebiotics that feed the probiotics, but also the waste product, the postbiotics, all really important, because the postbiotic, the waste product, is your Pluto, your destruction, the compost, the rotting of the food that creates the nutrients for the soil to then grow the food and the seed, so that you've got that continuation of that cycle of life. And all of this we've learned from growing our seeds in the garden, eating the food, hating the smell of the compost now, but managing it so that now when we put our compost in the compost bin, we wash it out with our hands, because our skin, when our digestive system doesn't work properly, our skin absorbs 60% of the stuff through it. So we're getting the bacteria of the compost through our skin with the rainwater. So we've got the natural bacteria in the rainwater as well. So how does Jesus walk on water? Well, he had a really high vibration, not necessarily a high frequency. You can have a low frequency with a high vibration. Yeah, we have to be careful on some things we say, because we don't know, but this is why then we watch it back, and the ones of us that watch it back aren't in this kind of energetic flow state, which is just like so yeah, Jesus walks on water because it's like that analogy between ice, liquid, gas, and he's just really light and got a high vibration. because he's got Christ consciousness and he's got this really pure baby unconditional love. Babies and old people, they're the closest to spirit. First breath of life is the inhalation. We're bringing it in. We see lots talking about exhalation and relaxing, but we couldn't do exhalation or inhalation after our seizures. We'd just been panting heaps. But your Wim Hof method, he does a lot of the inhaling, but if you do too much of the inhaling and you do it for your nose or for your mouth and you're doing it through the structure that someone else is teaching you because they're telling you how to do it, rather than being the best teacher or parent and teaching you how to use your intuition so that you can guide yourself how to do it rather than what to do and how to do, we get caught in these then habitual patterns of breathe in for 6, breathe out through your nose, breathe out through your mouth for 8, and then we get stuck on that rather than going, actually no, let's just tap into our heart, let's tap into our breath and go, our body and our breath and our heart can show us it all. Because we didn't understand this before. We knew someone that was a yoga teacher and she just follows her intuition. It's like, what do you mean? It's like, well, my body just tells me what to do. It's like, what do you mean? We know what she means now, but we got to experience all these child state emotions and personalities and everything that went with it, which is really hard for a grown 42-year-old woman to then experience these emotions and show that to the world when she comes from a family from Southern Ireland and strict Catholicism and rigid belief systems and all kinds of stuff. And do you know, we were just talking about crying this morning, Eve, to the Lady Mary, that your tears, whether they're happy tears, sad tears, they hold a different chemical structure depending what emotion the tear comes from. And so, yeah, the 1, 7 divided by 1, infinite contraction with boundaries, put through the 0, gives you your phi, your golden ratio, the center of the vortex, of the vacuum equilibrium, which then brings us to our center. You've got your individual centers of each energy house, spinning vortex chakra, but then when you get all of them, like the computer game with the forward, sideways, seesaw, when you get them all to line up at a certain point, we have to really slow down. This is going to be amazing for our dream time sleep reprogramming that goes on now tonight. There's just this amazing alignment where all the channels, that the energy just can then flow. Can't we say it? So yeah, so just from the start, the pack and start, those 2 cards, which they're staying there now, because we were going to kind of shuffle, but I don't think we're going to shuffle. Are we going to shuffle now? Okay, so that's the starting card, and now we're going to need to potato. Oh, we've got to read the poems. Our Littlelons love poems. Okay, 77. Living light paths, theories of strings and strands, fragile frayed threads, warp and weft, all left empty through knowing love is all. Peaceful vibrations, bridging worlds and all journeys leading to the same destination by walking backwards. All our leaves lifted by the solar wind and sailing home, charted by stars to birth once more with the sacred Yogasil tree. Welcome home. We're going to take the first one out of here. So we've collected Yogi Tea bag labels. Yogi Tea Organic. Trust the union of intelligence and integrity. Yeah, you're just gonna have to trust us on that one. So we'll leave our little yoga seal tree there later. There'll be another one of them, no doubt. The journey home. And then going into zero void the seed. Before all, the veiled void strains its velvet fanfare of silence. Breathing, shimmering, glimmering dust emerges, swarming and forming, fated to become something new. Life must be. The physical screams to exist. Potential without. From within, all and everything. We love the poetry. So, okay. We're shuffling now. Do you want to put them back in? Well, let's leave them out because they can be the biggest spectrum of energies that go out, and then we can have the inner spectrum of energies and then the center card, and then we've got our 5 cards which go with the thing. Yeah. Okay. Just making sure we're all happy. We can't take too long at doing this. So there's all we've learned over the last since Christmas Day. That was just yesterday, actually, wasn't it? Tita Momo. Oh yeah, no, okay. Our stepmom's German, so in Germany they open a present on Christmas Eve. So we opened up one of the packets of cards on Christmas Eve. That was the Tarot for Kids one that was. And been witnessing each time we opened the pack. The next day, Christmas Day, was the Tarot of the Moon and Stars. I don't know if this is the autism again, but there's a specific that we've got so many different. We've got noticed different way each time we shuffle the cards to make sure they're shuffled. I think the tarot is more important to be completely shuffled than the oracle, so that you don't get, so it's a really true read, and if 2 cards come out like next to each other, it's not from us not shuffling it properly or something. I don't know, but yeah, quite interesting. And also, I mean, for us, I mean, just the whole doing this isn't just a fun transformative tool to understand symbology and metaphors and pictures and colors and numbers and the interconnectedness between religions and philosophies. For us, you've got cards that have different sizes and different shapes, and so it's exercise for our fingers, it's exercise for our hands. Being Gemini and being, the more we can use the real extremities of our peripheral nervous system, our fingertips, hence why if you really tap into your body and what it does, you'll end up doing your own form of yoga mudras where you connect. So in reflexology, this is your thinking, feeling, working, relating, sense of security. This is the male, the past. This is the feminine, the left. Russell is different on his connections. I think Russell sees the right as experiences the right as the feminine, but our body will put itself into its own hand mudras, hand yoga, without the conditioned patterns. There's no wrong or right. That's duality reality. There's only what's right for you in the moment, what's harmonic for you in the moment, what could be dissonant for you in the moment, because you need something to be unpicked, unthreaded, so that then it can be sewn, weaved, rewired in its optimum alignment resonance, because everything has its own optimum frequency. And when we're working with frequency, hence how the tuning forks work, something always wants to be brought back to its optimum resonant frequency. So if we're out of frequency in a specific organ or skin or in our brain or whatever, you can get that tuning fork of that frequency and bring that back into play. And that's what we've done. We've got the human organ set, the planets, the Fibonacci, the self ratio, and we've been tuning up our body like you tune up a guitar. and putting that in the water, drinking it, bathing in it, and putting it back out into the water systems that Jesus walks on. Fruit Loop. Candle and Condor. Didn't we read that earlier? Where did we read that? Was that into, because we're just thinking now, actually, we were in the Runic Tarot, and in the Runic Tarot on the Lovers and the Temperance, there's real, the artist has brought real detail of attention to the positioning of the fingers. It actually reminded me of Bollywood dancing, and how in Bollywood dancing you use your fingers and the way you put your fingers in your hands. Oh, bye, Cathy. Thank you for being here with us. Yeah, golden ratio. Bye. Your flow state's beautiful. Thanks, Eve. Not a little bit crazy and chaotic. Zanoni's Christmas lights breathed in when she did they? All the lights do funny stuff with energy. Love you, Cathy. Our Yoga Soul Tree box. Oh, well, that's our years of practice on the poetry reading. If you go right to the start of our poetry videos, some of us can barely read. That's why we're gutted to take them down, because they do show us. When we were in the psych ward, we kept ourselves grounded by reading. We kept ourselves grounded and connected to the objective 3D reality through reading. And that's why our course is like a live reality thing. But of course, we're getting copyright strikes because we don't understand that. So we've had to take them all down. But that's our journey through us navigating the confusion of the world by reading, which we never did really when we were younger because of our dyslexia. You were doing a yoga, Eve, to close off your energy every time you went into public without even knowing. Yeah. Your sister, a yoga instructor, pointed out to me. Yeah, it's fascinating. And that's why if we can learn to get out of this, but it's not, sometimes we need to go into that logical and have that guidance to start with. But it's really hard to go from the left brain, logical, structured way of thinking into the chaotic right brain. But when we can, oh, it's amazing. It's like not having to plan. We would put so much effort and prep and planning in and still feel like we weren't getting anywhere. Whereas I feel that this new life we're stepping into, well, we're in already, but we're consciously understanding more and stepping more and more into, there's our card, but we can't see it yet either. Just which we need to do because we don't have much energy, is just going to make life so much easier. I mean, we're just over the moon. We've spent our life doing our best to stay alive because we just want to die. And we've finally made it. And we've been able to see the beauty and everything that there is in life. But now we're actually, yeah, it's finally all the effort's paid off. So let's see this together. It's always, if you put a little ball on the head, you got the Jesus. Let the light shine down on me. Forgot we had a candle there. Felt it. And look, it's 29. Third tier 11. The astro dice that came out at the start was 11. More of that 11, the Sushumna, the central channel. The central channel, which holds all the patterning of the the torso. So this is our center card. So we've got, this is interesting. So we started with how the pack came of the macro spectrum of energies. We've now gone into the micro, the center, which is this one that was given to us, which, because we do it where we've got given one, we need to choose one now as well, because we have energies give us one, which is what's going to jump out, and then we choose one. So 53 is on the Fibonacci. So Fibonacci goes 0, 1, 1, 2, where you add the previous number, 0, 1, 1, 2, 3, 5, 8, 13, 21, 34, 55, etc. And you've got the really dark red colours again. And then you've got some really neutral, earthy brown colours. 50, oh, it's H, so that's like from our name, Nyam. So our name, birth given name, Neov, is spelled Nyam her, because it's the Irish with the V, and the M and the H make a V. And it's heartache throb. So your energies there on 53, you'd have 8, 15. We're not even going to attempt to do 5 divided by 3. It's like 1 point something. But it's over 1.5 something. And then 2. Heartache throb. So that's like very much just kind of 3 of swords energy, isn't it? Interesting. So when I saw that word HeorTES, the first bit HEOR, take away the H, the EOR, but on saying the H silently, AR, it reminded me of the French for heart, which is AORTE or something. So that's what we got from that immediately when we saw it. Okay. Sobbing, throbbing, dark sparks grab hold of the heart, crushing the soul's freedom. Dread threads reach out with serpentined, hooked fangs that sink and pierce deep. Why? Cries the choking soul. But the deep, dark hole opens wider, and anger tangles itself around, cutting harsh lines into the flesh, victimizing us. It clings and wrings out each drop of love from every thought. And I see a surfer riding the core of Mother Gaia in that. The core of the energy of Mother Gaia, the central channel going through the core of our energetic center in our hara, which resides in the second chakra, the moon. And there's a little knife to help cut the slits open to... There is the fire. Aries is fire as well, isn't it? So when we were talking about Jesus walking on water and the vibration of the atoms from solid to gas, and we were talking about polarity therapy earlier, where the spiral movements from the oxygen in the lungs, and your earth is your grounded, your still energies, and your fire energies is the up linear channels, and your water energies is the down channels. But to get Jesus to walk on all water, to change ice into gas, you have to raise the temperature. So this brings us into the left and right vagus nerve, which is the 10th cranial nerve, 10 karmic completion. It's nicknamed the Wanderer, wandering around every organ in the body so that it can like bring oxygen to everywhere in body, all the cells, so we can activate and light up our whole nervous system, central nervous system and peripheral nervous system, so that we can bring us journey ourselves home to the full activation and possibilities and capabilities of these amazing human vessels. Hence why spirit and energy wants to incarnate into human form, to experience this 3D tangible seen world from an objective filter or lens through the sensory systems, to then reach the trust in ourselves and our heart and our pure uniqueness and authenticity, to understand that we have our own subjective internal reality, and each of those 5 physical senses has the 6th multi-energetic sense of the clairvoyances, the internal hearing, psychic hearing, and psychic just being, for us, subconscious is the past, the dense, that expansive energy is really compressed, manifest into physical, all memory and data information stored in the connective tissue. And then the future is your super conscious, the expansive energy, the creation, the imagination, where it all starts. That then when it transcends and filters through if it's cosmic energy coming down or earthly energy coming up, or you might be in an inversion and it might be earthly energy coming up through your crown chakra and cosmic energy coming down into your root chakra, or you could be on your side or your front and back. Every little hair follicle has a hole, has an orifice, and all of this is like tentacles and spider webs, where from like Avatar, when you plug in your tail to the animal and you're bonded and you're connected, we have that capability. And so yeah, the deeper we go, the more that can kind of go out. And so yeah, the central energy, we've lost it. I think our knees are going again. We need to change our patterning of our body. So these are the two in the center. Oh, that's it. So your left and right vagus nerve, your right is the masculine, which is ironically the red, because we normally think of blue as kind of the masculine if we're a child, and you've got the blue and the pink for boys and girls. And that's your active and your doing, which energizes us. And we've utilized that energy too much in today's society. But the rest and digest is your left vagus nerve. And so a lot of people say not to eat before meditation, but we sometimes eat and then meditate, so that we're teaching so the meditation or the energies or whatever is teaching our digestive system how to rest and digest, because all our head injury, our jaw operation, our broken collarbone, our torn sacrum and all three planes, all of it's on the left hand side. And then dealing with lots of trauma and being a freezer, all that adrenaline's got caught up in the body and created these knots and these sacks of like tension, which then have to be released really carefully and slowly. I mean, before we went into the psych ward, we couldn't physically swallow, we couldn't eat, we were dying over and over again in the bath. But one of us smart asses had programmed ourselves not to have any out of body experiences, so we couldn't die. We were being jolted back, and it's really nice to go off into that state, but it was horrible being jolted back. So we didn't quite go off into that state because we programmed ourselves not to leave the body, and we get jolted back. And then I remember, which is just different aspects of us filtering through the energies, but it's like, what are we going to do with this one? You know, she needs help. She's not getting it. You know, we've got to get, because we've from such a young age, we've learned to survive on our own, and we didn't want to hurt anyone, and we kept hurting people, and we just closed inwards. So then this scenario was created where our first love had bought our van, and we had to bring the book that he had written, but it wasn't about the book, it was about the title of the book. The title of the book was On the Edge. We were basically falling over the edge and didn't have much left to hold on to. But we'd done going to hospital, and we've had lots of hospital experiences that had limited us. And because everyone's born a genius, it's just where we direct that genius energy, but it's not a conscious direction. It's a programming through society, through our teachers, through our parents, our the people we look up to. And so because of our specific experiences, which have given us our gifts and our unique perspectives now, we've did everything on our own, and that's where our genius went into. And with the autism, makes you a really good copier and makes you put on a really good mask. And then having a parent that also, you know, or it's not just a parent, it's society, the English culture, it's really inhibited. We're not allowed to feel, you're not allowed to show your emotions, you've got to put on a tough face. And then growing up with men as well, so we lost it again. That's it. So Jesus walking in water, fire and water, up and down, so the gravity pulling us down, inversion. So the idea is to, and I suppose this is the Wim Hof does it from a certain perspective, but he does it with the inhalations. You've got other people relaxing with the exhalations. But when we tap into our heart and our body and our breath enough, letting it guide us, it will make us do all kind of different breathing patterns. And doing a forward bend and inhaling will make us get hot, whereas doing other sitting with our hips open and resting back, we'll get cold. So I mean, we can cut, if you know, we can cut electricity bills going, okay, it's cold, so let's go and do, like, you know, this restorative pose, bending forward, and focus our energies on our inhalations. So when we can balance out our inhalation and our exhalation, we're balancing out and regulating our temperature, which is then helping us bring, I suppose, conscious awareness into our autonomic nervous system, or something. Oh, Kara's heart. Okay, what's that word we're thinking of then? You've overstayed. Cathy, you've overstayed. Are you meant to be somewhere else? Because you're not overstayed from our perspective. You're welcome as long as. Oh, bless you, Eve. Bon appetit. I'm glad it's helped. We're going to be finishing up too. Well, we're going to go. Let's read this one, and then we've got the two more, and then we'll all go together. Thrice burned, thrice returned, famed and renamed, forgotten, yet recalled by Odin from her gravelled realm. Or Bois, old one, in her ironwood grave. He asked this, Ertan Seer, how Gullivaig cheated death. He listened but did not hear. You might cheat your past and rise, craft another future and rise, but the now will eventually find you. Our vessels are from the earth and they will be returned here. And then the bottom, unaware, unseen, is 49, 13 again, another 4. 4 is the Emperor in the card, which is Aries. It's all adding up. We've got 2 likes, 2 people watching. That's 4. Fruit bearing, offerings. We all grow from seeds to shoots, to trunks, creating branches, bearing beautiful fruits. It's up to us to heal and prune. We need to prune our plants. We do need to prune our plants, ready the room for our offerings. Not every branch is pure, nor every idea worthy of fruiting a thought or into a seed to be passed on and planted. Odin cuts himself down too early. Tor does not repeat his father's path. Tor, Christ consciousness, reincarnation of Jesus from some people's perspective. He's Odin's son. Tito Pomo. Yeah, that's a good one, isn't it? He walked towards Ior, releasing his ancestral past to blossom, mature, and be his own apple bearer. So that's that one down there. So that's the bottom, and this is the top. We're not sure exactly, but they kind of go like that. And then we've got 75, 12. So we've got the 12s and the 13s, the masculine and the feminine. We're loving the patterns of these two. Hang true, review. And fruit hangs off trees, doesn't it? Henge trial, and that's kind of reminds of a hedge. So the poem. Murmurs well of runic wisdom, a time out of time where all are welcome. Hang, suspended with sublime intention. Sacrifice, something sacred, to scrutinize your present perspective. Mirmir's instruction is clear. What? That is precious to you. Are you willing to give to the well so you might be well? Nothing is free. For the welling up, you must offer up a fair cost, or you'll stay lost. Will you? Will you? Will you hang true? Hang true with you. Tito Pomomo, hi. Let's see where the energies take us on this one. So great to have you here, Cathy and Twitty, and everyone that came in, and everyone that's going to come into the future. Where's this 2023 going to lead us? Big picture 7, small picture 5. Vibrations. Bon appetit, Twitty. No, bon appetit, Eve. And Cathy, whatever you're going to do. Yeah, hope it's fun. Yeah, we're going to see what happens now. Oh, that was a long one, wasn't it? Nothing new for us there, is it? Okay, bye my lovelies, see you soon. Thank you for so much, Cathy. Seriously, just ineffable beyond words. And yeah, Russell, Rob, Reem, Patrick, Eve, Cathy, I don't know if we missed someone, and the artist got dude, Ed and Sherry, thank you. Beautiful piece of a beautiful just collaborative creation. It's going to be quite profound for many. So yeah, bye.